My name is Wayne, and I'm not originally from this world. 12 years ago, I was just a regular guy on Earth, scrolling through short videos on my phone. Then a weird quiz popped up asking, if you could travel to another world, which cheat ability would you pick? There were 5 choices: immortality, an infinite inventory that unlocks a new slot each time you level up, teleportation, the power to heal anything, or a gacha lottery system. Most people in the comments picked the healing power, dreaming about easy lives. But I thought it through carefully. I picked number 2, the infinite inventory. Not because of the inventory itself, but because the description said, each time you break through a level, that meant wherever I ended up, it would be a world where I could grow stronger. Smart, right? The moment I made my choice, everything went black. Next thing I knew, I was reborn as a baby in a place called the Holy Domain, a world of wizards, knights, dragons, and elves. I live on the Myriad Races continent, inside a country called the Atlantis Empire. This place is absurdly huge. The empire alone covers about 520 billion square kilometers, and it's only 1% of the continent. And the continent is still expanding. My parents in this life were both talented people. My father was a knight. My mother was a gold element wizard. They graduated from top academies and were recruited to work in the Rose territory, ruled by a powerful 5th-level wizard known as the Rose Marquis. But when I was 10, both my parents died during a frontier expansion mission, so now I'm an orphan. But honestly, my life isn't bad. The Rose Marquis takes good care of the children of those who died in service. We get 3 meals a day, and we can request almost anything reasonable. The reason is simple. Our parents were high-talent superhumans, so there's a good chance we inherited strong abilities too. We're basically seen as future investments. Right now, my butler Zoltan, a kind old man with golden hair, just reminded me that tomorrow is the day of the Truth Tower's talent test. It's the exam that determines your magical potential. My parents would have wanted me to do well. I put down the old document I was reading, a history of the Great Expansion era, when powerful 7th-level wizards and knights spent 30,000 years conquering countless worlds. That era is over now. We're in the age of development, and tomorrow, my own journey begins. The next morning, I dragged myself out of bed with sleepy eyes. I'm a 12-year-old kid with golden hair and blue eyes, by the way. My butler Zoltan drove me by carriage toward the center of Rose City for Awakening Day, the day every 12-year-old gets tested for wizard or knight talent. I wasn't the only one. Just from our neighborhood of war orphans alone, there were over 500 kids my age. And across the whole Rose territory, way more than that. After about an hour, we reached a massive gate. On the right side was a carving of a tall silver tower surrounded by swirling elemental colors. That's the Truth Tower, symbol of wizards. On the left was a holy temple with dragons, representing the Knight Order. The gate was still closed, so we waited. While I had nothing to do, I pulled up my cheat ability in my mind, the infinite inventory. It looks like an equipment grid that only I can see. Right now it's empty, just one blank slot. See, unlike what the original quiz said, I got one slot from the start even as an ordinary person, before leveling up. That's why I never bothered training early. I already know I'll be powerful eventually, so why rush? What I put in that first slot depends on what kind of talent I awaken today. Easy mode or hard mode. It all comes down to this moment. Then 3 dragon roars shook the sky. I looked up and saw 3 enormous dragons, an ice dragon, a water dragon, and a frost dragon, all belonging to the Rose Marquis. They swooped down, and a figure in a wizard's robe with a rose medallion floated off the ice dragon's back. That was Lady Anne Hathaway herself, the Rose Marquis. Everyone bowed and greeted her. Watching all those adults pay their respects, I couldn't help but think of an old Chinese saying. A great man should live like this. Pretty inspiring stuff. She said one word, rise, and then the awakening hall doors swung open. 2 groups walked out, wizards in robes on one side, knights in armor on the other. Their leaders, a 4th-level star wizard and a knight commander, saluted the Marquis and then began the ceremony. They shot 2 beams of energy into the sky above the hall, forming twin pillars of blue light. Then they chanted a prayer to the will of the Holy Domain, asking it to bless the children. A moment later, I felt an invisible gaze fall on every 12-year-old in the crowd, and colorful specks of light drifted down from the sky, landing on each of us. I felt a warm energy flow into my body, like soaking in gentle sunlight. I'd watched this ceremony 5 times before from the sidelines in previous years, so I wasn't nervous. Then the Rose Marquis spoke. Children of the fallen heroes of Rose territory, step forward for your awakening. She'd appeared at the entrance of the awakening hall. I nodded to Zoltan, then walked out first onto the open path. Every eye in the crowd turned to look at me. With all those thousands of eyes on me, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't nervous. Back in my past life, I'd sweat just giving a speech in front of a few hundred people. But I stepped up anyway because I had a plan and confidence to back it up. The Rose Marquis smiled at me and said, "Good. Worthy of a hero's child." That one compliment got me looks of envy, admiration, and jealousy from the crowd. Other kids from our group started lining up behind me. Most of them avoided going first on purpose. If your talent turns out bad, everyone sees your shame. But I wasn't worried. Good or bad, I had my cheat ability. And if my talent was great, being first would make me unforgettable. Like the saying goes, nobody remembers second place. We entered the Awakening Hall, a space about the size of a football stadium. Inside were 2 giant crystal balls, each 3 meters wide, with wizards and knights standing by to record results. The Marquis watched from a balcony above. I walked up to the first crystal ball and placed my hand on it. It lit up so bright people could barely look at it. Then came the announcement: Spirit talent, top tier. Physical talent, high tier. I was thrilled. In this world, there are 3 types of talent: Spirit, for wizards; Physical, for knights; and Elemental. Each is ranked low, medium, high, or top tier. You need at least 1 high-tier talent to qualify for the best academy in the imperial capital. The Marquis asked my name. I looked up at her and said it clearly, Wayne. She nodded and told me to go test my elemental talent. Walking past 500 kids who were all staring at me felt amazing, like eating ice cream on the hottest day of summer. I'll admit there was some gambling involved in going first, but I won. I placed my hand on the second crystal ball. A sharp golden light burst out. Gold element affinity, top tier. My heart finally relaxed. My entire plan was falling into place. Then my body floated up on its own. A little scary at first, but I realized I was being lifted to the Marquis's balcony. She congratulated me and told me I'd earned a spot at the highest academy in the imperial capital. I bowed and thanked her, then stood to the side and watched the rest of the awakening. Out of all 500-plus kids, only 7 awakened a top-tier talent, and I was the only one with 2 top-tier talents. 36 others got at least 1 high-tier talent. Afterward, I asked the Marquis a question that had been bugging me. Only about 40 high-talent kids out of 500. Is that really a lot? She set me straight. Remove the word really from that sentence. It is a lot. In normal years, we'd be lucky to get 20. The entire Rose territory has about 1 billion people, and each year only 30 to 50,000 awaken any talent at all. Of those, only 3 to 500 qualify for the Imperial Academy, and top-tier talents make up maybe 10% of that group. Every single person who awakens, even with the lowest talent, is 1 in tens of thousands. The reason your group did so well is because all your parents were wizards or knights. None of you failed completely. But in the real world outside this hall, it's a very different story. The Marquis told me to look at what was happening below, so I did. The next batch of about 1,000 people came in for testing. One after another, the announcements rang out. No talent, no talent, no talent, over and over. Occasionally someone got a low-tier talent, but that was it. Now I truly understood what she meant. My double top-tier talent really was something extraordinary. She looked at me and said, "You see? This is reality. Your double top-tier talent is a treasure from heaven. I hope you live up to it." I bowed and thanked her for opening my eyes. By noon, the whole ceremony was done. I kept a mental count. Across the entire day, only 16 people awakened a top-tier talent, and 127 got high-tier. And this was considered a big year. Normally the numbers were even smaller. When you spread the remaining academy spots across a territory of 1 billion people, the odds were brutal. Then came the fun part. The Marquis brought us outside, where 3,000 silver-armored knights stood in formation, the Rose Knight Order. Every single one was at least a 3rd-level Silver Knight, with 4th-level Gold Knight captains and a 5th-level Platinum Knight commander. She announced that each high-tier talent could pick one knight to escort them home, with a 3-day guard detail. It sounds dramatic, but it's basically this world's version of a victory parade. Like in ancient China, when the top exam scorers would ride through the capital on horseback while everyone watched. It's meant to inspire the whole territory, and honestly, to encourage people to have more kids. The 3-day guard isn't really about protection. There are no assassins or enemies to worry about inside Rose City. It's more like a chance for payback. If you were a mistreated orphan or a bullied kid, this is your moment to settle scores with a knight at your side. I'd actually watched some of these revenge scenes play out in previous years. It was like watching novels come to life in real time. Some kids had truly evil grins on their faces as they picked their knight. I felt a bit sorry for whichever families were about to get a visit. After the high-tier kids left with their single knight escorts, the Marquis addressed us top-tier talents. Each of you may choose a knight captain and their entire 100-man squad as your escort for 3 days. Go, children, enjoy your moment. Even with 2 lifetimes of experience, I got excited. 100 knights parading me through the city? That's the kind of highlight reel moment you live for. I'd spent years watching from the crowd, jealous. Now it was finally my turn. I was about to rush forward when the Marquis called out, "Wayne, not you." I turned around, confused. She had a playful look in her eyes. "You'll ride back with me on my dragon. With talent like yours, 100 knights aren't enough to match you." I broke into a huge grin. "Really?" She tilted her head and nodded. "Of course. I want you to remember this day forever. Years from now, when you're deep on the long road of pursuing truth, when you look back on your life. This will be one of the brightest moments in your memory." The Marquis's words were beautiful, but honestly, they made me a little nervous. She was talking like a caring older relative, not someone meeting me for the first time. I knew for a fact she'd never noticed me before today. Before I could think too much about it, I was floating again. Next thing I knew, I was standing on top of the ice dragon's head alongside the Marquis. She called the dragon, Ivy, and the dragon responded in a young girl's voice, laughing about how I'd remember her for decades to come. Then the dragon spread its massive wings, roared, and took off for a low-altitude parade around the entire city. Standing on a dragon's head, looking down at the amazed crowds below, it was unreal. The Marquis surprised me by asking playfully, "Little Wayne, do you have a girl you like? Or anyone who's been bullying you? Want to fly over and put on a show?" She was completely serious too. I told her nobody was dumb enough to bully a war orphan under her protection, and I definitely didn't have any crushes. She actually sounded disappointed. Then she said something I'll never forget. "Words and smiles are the cheapest things in the world. You can appreciate them, but never be moved by them." I asked her directly why she was being so kind to me. She told me her own talent had been double top tier as well, spirit plus ice element. Since my talent matched hers, she knew exactly how far I could go. But I pressed further. Other double top-tier talents had appeared in past years. Why was I special? She explained the system. The Atlantis Empire expands in all 4 directions. Lord Wizards, the stars of this era, graduate from the Lord Wizard Academy and get assigned to one direction every 25 years to build new territories. She was assigned south 75 years ago and built the Rose Territory. In 25 years, when I graduate, the assignments will cycle back to the south again. That means I'd be her neighbor, so it was an investment. She wanted a friendly, powerful neighbor, someone she understood because they shared the same kind of talent. That made sense to me. No hidden tricks, just practical self-interest. I relaxed and sat down on the dragon's head. "Well then, big sister, please take care of me from now on." "Oh right." She made me call her big sister instead of Marquis. She's at least 100 years old, but I wasn't about to argue with a 5th-level wizard standing on a dragon. I asked her about the academy. She explained there are 3 main schools in the Imperial capital: the Knight Academy, the Elemental Wizard Academy, and the Lord Wizard Academy. Lord Wizards are the protagonists of this era because after 30,000 years of war, the world's population was devastated. The Holy Domains will responded by granting special blessings. Lord Wizards for humans, little sprites for elves, and companion treasures for dragons, all meant to help rebuild. On top of that, when a Lord Wizard reaches the 8th level, it brings huge benefits to the entire world. She told me I'd learn all the details in school and not to worry about it now. Then her tone shifted. What I'm about to tell you next is the important part. Burn it into your memory. The Marquis held up 3 fingers and gave me the most important advice for my future. First, focus on raising my wizard level at the academy. The Imperial Capital's academy has the best resources, and with my talent, advancing should be straightforward. Second, show off my talent openly. No hiding, no playing weak. Only by proving myself can I attract followers, knights and wizards who will eventually serve under me when I build my own territory. Academy followers are better than random recruits because they're talented and loyal. Third, get sprites and dragons. Sprites can grow magical plants in bulk. Dragons attract magic crystals and mineral deposits wherever they nest. Having either one makes your territory richer and draws more followers. There's a test after 12 years at the academy where the top 3 students win a sprite. After that, there's a 6-year trip to the dragon continent where you can try to form a contract with a dragon. I memorized all of it. The ice dragon flew me home. I only needed to grab 3 things, 2 spatial rings my parents left behind, still locked since I don't have the power to open them yet, and my father's academy graduation keepsake. Then I had to deal with Zoltan, my butler. I gave him 2 choices: come with me to the capital or keep the house and retire. He hesitated. That hesitation told me everything. So I made the decision for him. Keep the house. Keep most of the monthly pension the territory pays for war orphans. Just send me 10 purple gold coins each month. Done. The real reason I cut him loose wasn't about loyalty, though that's what I told the Marquis when she overheard us. The truth is, I'm about to start using my infinite inventory. A butler who's been with me since childhood would notice something strange eventually. Better to separate now with a generous deal than risk my secret later. The Marquis saw through my excuse but didn't push it. She just said, "That decisiveness will be a sharp sword on your path forward." We flew to the Rose Manor where I'd stay for 3 days before heading to the Imperial Capital. I sat on the dragon's head, playing with 10 fist-sized purple gold coins, watching the landscape pass below. My new life was about to begin. That afternoon, I sat in the Rose Manor's living room, freshly bathed and wearing a robe, staring at the Marquis across from me. I couldn't hide my excitement. She'd promised me an investment, and I wanted to see what it was. She teased me mercilessly. "You're only interested in my money. Here I am, a beautiful woman sitting right in front of you, and all you care about is what's in my wallet." How sad. I told her I was 12 years old, and to please stop joking. She shot back. "Oh, so you're saying I'm too old?" Women in every universe really do run on the same code. Finally, she stopped teasing and waved her hand. 3 items appeared on the table. The first was a fist-sized, transparent, 6-sided crystal, a top-grade unattributed magic crystal. I nearly lost my mind. Let me explain the money system. Regular currency goes copper, silver, gold, purple gold, each worth 100 times the previous, except purple gold, which equals 10,000 gold. Then there's the supernatural currency, magic crystals in 4 grades, also at 100-to-1 ratio. 1 purple gold coin equals 1 low-grade crystal. So this single top-grade crystal was worth 1,000,000 low-grade crystals, or 100 billion gold coins. But what the Marquis didn't know was the real reason I was thrilled. With my infinite inventory, I could make this crystal infinite. I was about to have unlimited top-grade magic crystals. She caught me grinning like an idiot and told me to wipe the drool off my face. I actually reached up to check, and there was nothing. She tricked me. The second item was a gold bank card from the Atlantis Imperial Bank, linked to her personal account, for my daily expenses. The third was a communication token, so I could contact her once I started my wizard training. It all felt way too generous. I asked her directly, did she treat the last double top-tier talent holder the same way? She explained that no, she didn't. That person was a commoner with no ties to Rose territory, and the future assignment rotation meant they'd probably end up somewhere far away. Investing in them would have been pointless. I was different for 3 reasons. First, my talent. Second, my identity. As a war orphan whose parents died serving Rose territory, I have a natural sense of belonging here. Third, the timing. When I graduate, the territorial assignments will rotate back to the south, meaning I'll almost certainly end up near her. She called me the purest-blooded Rose territory citizen because my parents gave their lives for this land. It all made sense. Cold, practical logic, but honest. I could work with that. The Marquis told me the magic crystal was for training, not selling. She explained that unattributed top-grade crystals are actually rarer than elemental ones. They only come from ancient mines that formed over 3,000 years ago. Since the age of development began, new crystal mines only appear where dragons nest, and those always have an elemental attribute. Good to know, but what she didn't realize was that I'd already decided to put it in my infinite inventory. 3 days later, on the morning we were set to leave for the capital, I woke up early. I picked up the crystal, placed it into my inventory slot, and watched the display change to unattributed top-grade magic crystal times infinite. I pulled one out just to test it. Worked perfectly. Then I rolled over and went back to sleep. During those 3 days, I learned a lot about Rose territory. It covers about 28 million square kilometers and is still growing. Its 3 most valuable assets are the 3 dragons, the 3 sprites, and the Marquis herself. Apparently, she's considered the jewel of the entire Southern Empire, with admirers lining up everywhere. That morning I got dressed, put on my parents' spatial rings, tucked the bank card and communication token in my inner pockets, and tossed the magic crystal carelessly into my outer pocket. That thing was basically worthless to me now. I had infinite copies. The servants at the manor all called me young master by this point. 3 days of living like the Marquis's little brother will do that. I ate breakfast and headed to the Rose Garden Plaza, where everyone leaving for the capital had gathered. Kids with families were saying goodbye. Others stood alone, mostly commoners from outside the city. Then I heard a shout. "Wayne? Over here." That was Sackate, a fellow war orphan who was somehow already 6 feet tall at age 12. He dragged me over to our group of over 100 fellow war orphans' children. He announced me like I was royalty. "Ladies and gentlemen, our leader has arrived." The future big shot himself. I cringed. My Chinese soul isn't built for that kind of showmanship. But everyone here treats it as normal. Sackate is what I'd call a social terrorism expert. The guy is so aggressively friendly that 2 years ago, he made a kid who'd just lost his parents laugh out loud in front of their gravestones. Terrible and impressive at the same time. He asked me about insider information since he'd heard I'd been staying at the Rose Manor. I shared what I knew. It wasn't secret, just stuff everyone would learn at the academy anyway. I told them about the 3 schools: Knight Academy, Elemental Wizard Academy, and Lord Wizard Academy. Then I got serious. I told them to remember 2 things. First, once you're at the academy, focus on getting stronger. That's everything. Second, in 25 years the territorial assignments rotate back to the south, right where Rose territory is. If they truly accept me as the leader of our group, then train hard. I don't want to see any of your children end up living in the war orphans quarter of my future territory. In other words, stay alive, get strong, and don't make me mourn you the way we mourn our parents. My words hit everyone hard. The whole group went quiet, thinking about their dead parents. Then Sackate broke the silence with his usual boldness. "Of course. I'm going to become a 7th-level Holy Dragon Knight. No way I'm dying on some frontier." That loosened everyone up, but I could see they'd taken my warning seriously. The Marquis appeared and told us we had 10 minutes before departure. I repeated my message one last time: "Don't fall behind in 25 years, and walked toward her. Behind me, Sackate yelled out his promise not to fall behind, and then one voice after another joined in. My Chinese soul was cringing hard at all the dramatic shouting, but I raised my hand and waved without turning around. I ducked behind the Marquis to catch my breath. She teased me immediately. "You look like quite the inspiring leader just now. Are you hiding behind me because you're embarrassed?" I told her it wasn't leadership. I just didn't want people with the same background as me dying out on the frontier. Then she pulled out a tiny palm-sized airship and tossed it into the air. It expanded into a massive 5-story vessel, 1,000 meters long, covered in rose decorations. 12 knights boarded first to stand guard, followed by 12 maids for reception. Then all 700-plus students began boarding. The Marquis floated me up to the 5th-floor deck. Looking down, I counted roughly 700 kids and asked if none of them had double top-tier talent like me. She laughed and said that in the entire history of Rose territory, only 3 people had ever awakened double top-tier talent, and I was one of them. Out of 1 billion people. She told me that double top-tier talent appears roughly once in several billion people. Only territories ruled by dukes or higher, with stable populations, produce 1 per year. That shocked me. My talent was far rarer than I'd imagined. I asked about triple top-tier talent. She said there was only one known case, John Atlantis, the founder of the Atlantis Empire itself. And he wasn't even from our continent. He supposedly crossed the ocean from the Wizard Heartland, the Holy Domain continent. That got me thinking, maybe the Myriad Races continent doesn't even have the conditions to produce triple top-tier talents. 1,000 years and only one case. And he was an outsider? The airship lifted off. Watching Rose City shrink below us was breathtaking. It's huge, I said. The Marquis just smiled. Wait until you see the Imperial Capital. We went inside the top floor. A cockpit area with a living room setup and 3 closed doors, probably bedrooms. I sat on a sofa and asked her what the real difference was between double and triple talent holders. She explained that triple talents have no weaknesses. Given enough time, they're complete in every way. In the early stages, everyone focuses on one path, either wizard or knight. The real gap shows up later, when you hit a wall on your main path and switch to training the second one. Triple talents can smoothly transition, double talents have a gap. I smiled to myself. My physical talent isn't top tier, but it's still high level. Not bad at all. A whole month of travel, even with teleportation arrays, and we finally reached the Imperial Capital. I was bored out of my mind on the airship by the end. When I saw the capital from above, I was speechless. It covers 100 million square kilometers, split into 4 gates: north, south, east, west. The Marquis told me not to spoil it for myself and just explore slowly over the years. Then a red dragon came flying toward us with a young-looking man in armor standing on its head. The Marquis called him General Derry. He was from the Royal First Knight Order, a very big deal. He got straight to the point. He wanted his child to become my sworn knight, basically a follower who pledges loyalty. The Marquis was genuinely surprised. She asked why someone of his status would send his kid to follow a commoner-born talent like me instead of a prince. Derry's answer was painfully honest. His child only awakened low-tier talent. Even with his powerful family name, joining a prince's circle would mean being ignored. They wouldn't waste a valuable position on someone weak. So he was looking for a rising star who'd actually value the connection. The Marquis turned to me and asked what I thought. I didn't answer right away. Instead, I asked Derry how he'd even heard about me. He explained that the moment we awakened our talents in Rose territory, the records were automatically sent to the capital's Awakening Hall. My name and talents were already on the Academy's enrollment list, public information. That checked out. I'd already accepted that being close to powerful people like the Marquis would bring this kind of attention. And honestly, I had no regrets. Getting that top-grade magic crystal for my infinite inventory was worth any political hassle. So I looked up at the 2-meter-tall general and asked the only question that mattered. What can you offer me? The Marquis was watching me with a satisfied smile, pretending to look at the scenery but clearly listening to every word. Derry seemed surprised by my directness, but recovered quickly. His offer nearly knocked me over. A sprite, the kind of magical creature that could be born within 3 months to a year. Even the Marquis looked impressed. Her entire Rose territory only had 3 sprites total. I knew exactly what a sprite meant. After a month of pestering the Marquis with endless questions, I wasn't clueless anymore. A sprite means resources. Having one follow you around is like driving a luxury car in my old world. You don't even need to open your mouth. People just flock to you. Followers would come pouring in like a tide. As they say back on Earth, you don't need to speak. The Mercedes speaks for you. A sprite works the same way in this world. I agreed to General Derry's deal. His child would bring the sprite to me once it was born, along with a contract witnessed by the Holy Domain's will. No loopholes, no broken promises. Derry laughed with satisfaction and flew off on his red dragon. The Marquis asked why I didn't refuse. I told her there was nothing to lose and everything to gain. A sprite following me around would make attracting followers much easier. She agreed, then asked a sharper question. Why didn't I accept on the spot? I explained that in this world, any promise someone makes you isn't guaranteed until it's locked in. That's why I insisted on the contract with Divine Witness. Derry should actually feel reassured by that. It protects both sides. The Marquis smiled and said I was more mature than she'd expected. Then a booming voice echoed across the sky, ordering all airships to land at the East Gate Plaza for student enrollment. Our airship descended. The Marquis told me I was on my own from here. She floated me down to the boarding ramp. Before leaving, I turned around, put my fist over my heart, and bowed to her up on the deck. She smiled and said, "Good luck, your road is long." The plaza was packed with kids my age and dozens of recruitment stations for different academy branches: fire element wizards, wood element wizards, various night specialties. But the Lord Wizard Academy had its own massive, separate station at the very back. I walked straight there. A sign at the entrance read, "Lord Wizard Enrollment. Must have at least one top-tier talent in spirit or element. Otherwise, do not enter." That explained why this was the quietest booth despite being the biggest. 2 lines of knights stood guard at the entrance, but they let me through after watching me read the sign and keep walking. Inside, a young woman and a young man sat at opposite desks. The woman asked my name. "Wayne," I said. She started searching through papers, but the man spoke up. "Don't bother. His file is on my side." She pouted about her luck. He introduced himself as Wright, a third-year Lord Wizard student, and said he'd take me to register. He led me to a massive teleportation array in the center of the hall. He explained it connects directly to the Lord Wizard Academy campus and that I could use it to travel to any of the 4 city gates later. His badge flashed, the array activated, and my vision went blurry. When I opened my eyes, I was at the Academy's central plaza. My head was spinning. Wright stood there grinning. "Rough, right? Every new student goes through that. Once you get your own badge, it won't happen again." He pointed out 4 large corridors leading to the teaching district, dormitory district, cafeteria district, and administration district. We headed north toward administration to pick up my academy badge. He told me the badge is basically everything here. It works as a map, an information terminal, and a key to almost anything in the academy. Wright led me through a blue-glowing corridor toward the administration district. Instead of dizziness, I felt refreshed. He explained that every corridor in the academy is infused with mind-restoring potion particles. Whether you're coming or going, your mental energy gets recharged. Nice perk. When we stepped out the other side, I couldn't believe my eyes. Towering buildings stretched in every direction as far as I could see. Wright lifted us both into the air and flew us toward our destination. He casually mentioned the academy covers 1,000,000 square kilometers, 1% of the entire capital. That's roughly the size of a major province back on Earth. No wonder they need teleportation corridors. We landed at the tallest building in the center, the General Administration Building. Wright took me to the top floor, which had just one office, the Dean's. Inside sat an elderly man in wizard robes named Dean Leon. He already knew who I was. The double top-tier talent holder. "Welcome." He tossed a golden badge to Wright, who handed it to me. That badge is basically my identity, key, and information terminal all in one. On the way to lunch, I asked Wright why he was being so attentive. He admitted it wasn't pure kindness. He earned contribution points for escorting me. And the reason he got the assignment was because Dean Leon was his grandfather. He tried to play it cool, saying, "Oh, it's nothing," but his face was practically begging me to ask about it. Classic showing off. Apparently that's universal across worlds. Over the next 2 hours, Wright explained the contribution point system. It's the Academy's internal currency, as valuable as top-grade magic crystals. 10,000 points equals 1 crystal. You can only earn them through Academy tasks, and they buy 3 things: dragon eggs, sprites, and one-on-one tutoring from a mentor. Wright thought the tutoring option was a waste, but I filed that away for later. He earned 1,000 points just for welcoming me. That's how much the Academy values double top-tier talents. After lunch, we went to the dormitory district. The housing dean, Dean McKeach, gave me 2 options, an apartment or a villa. I picked the villa without hesitation. He tapped a crystal ball on his desk, and a beam of light shot into my badge. Villa number 66 in Zone 7. Badge works as the key. Simple as that. Wright dropped me off at Villa 66 in Zone 7 and said goodbye. When I walked up to the front door, it scanned my badge automatically and slid open on its own. Fancy. The villa is 3 stories. First floor is a big gathering hall. Second floor has a living room, 2 bedrooms, a bathroom, and a bathing pool. Very nice. Third floor is an empty study waiting to be filled. On the study desk were 3 items left for new students: 2 thin books and something that looked exactly like a tablet from my old world. I spent an hour reading the first book, The Academy's Introduction and Rules. Here's the key information. The first 3 years are mandatory courses. During that time, I need to accomplish two things: become a first-level official Lord Wizard and complete all required classes. Then I take an exam, pass it, and I'm basically free to manage my own schedule. Lord Wizards are different from knights and regular wizards, who have yearly tests and required classes forever. We just need to pass that one 3-year exam, and after that, it's all self-discipline. The tablet turned out to be a limited version of the badge. It connects to the Academy's internal network and has a forum for all 3 academies plus a messaging app, kind of like WeChat from back home. My badge won't fully work until I become a first-level wizard, so the tablet is all I've got for now. I remembered the communication token the Marquis gave me and excitedly tried to add her contact through the tablet. A pop-up message appeared, clearly pre-recorded by her. Haha, missing me already? My beauty must be truly powerful. But sorry, this is the internal network only. She even added a fake scared emoji. I stared at the screen, face going dark. Just you wait. Then I picked up the second book, the Basic Meditation Manual, and studied it until 6 in the evening. It completely drained my mental energy, but I finally understood how Lord Wizards train. Regular elemental wizards meditate to imprint runes in their mind. 36 runes makes you a senior apprentice. Simple and straightforward. Lord Wizards are completely different. We're really array wizards. Instead of just imprinting individual runes, we have to arrange them into a complete magical array inside our mind. One basic array makes you a junior apprentice. Keep building arrays through the middle stage, and by senior apprentice level, you have 3 instant cast basic arrays. Now I truly understood why Lord Wizards are called the protagonists of this era. They can't learn tons of different spells like elemental wizards can, but just 3 instant cast arrays can overpower multiple elemental wizards at once. That kind of combat strength is insane. The core principle across all levels, even up to 7th level True Spirit Lord Wizards, is expanding your mind. You need enough mental space to hold all those arrays. So most apprentice-level Lord Wizards choose nurturing type arrays first. Things like the unattributed nurturing array or the gold nurturing array, which constantly expand your mind once imprinted. You pick the one matching your elemental affinity. This was going to be a long road, but I could see the path clearly now. The gold nurturing array would be the obvious choice for someone with my gold element affinity, but I wasn't going to rush. I needed to understand the full picture before making any moves. A foundation is just another word for a building's base. Get it wrong, and everything above it crumbles. So I spent 3 days in the library, burning through 100 purple gold coins on the Marquis's bank card to access all the research materials I needed. Now I finally have a complete understanding of the 3 Lord Wizard paths. The first path is the Elemental Array Wizard. You focus entirely on offensive elemental arrays. At the highest level, 7th level True Spirit, you'd have something like the Billion Golden Light Array, where one flick of your finger creates an attack covering millions of miles. It sounds incredible, and honestly it tempted me, but it felt too narrow. The second path is the Functional Array Wizard. Instead of combat arrays, you imprint things like teleportation arrays and alchemy arrays, all utility. These wizards build the richest, most prosperous territories. In peacetime like now, this is the most popular choice. But it doesn't suit me at all. I came to this world knowing I won't settle for just a 100-year lifespan. My goal is immortality. And if I'm aiming for eternity, then this peaceful era won't last forever. War will come eventually. As a Chinese person at heart, I'd never willingly put my safety entirely in someone else's hands if I have a choice. That leaves the third path, the All-Rounder Wizard. This type splits the mind in two, half for combat arrays, half for functional arrays. In the early and middle stages, it's amazing, strong in battle and versatile. But at the 7th level, it becomes good at nothing. The mind simply isn't large enough to hold 2 complete top-tier array systems. Combat can't match a pure elemental wizard. Utility can't match a pure functional wizard. That's why people call it all capable at the bottom, all incapable at the top. But here's the thing. I actually like this path the most. The problem everyone faces is mind size. But what if the mind could be made big enough? Then this, worst, path becomes the best one, a road straight to the heavens. I have 2 questions I need answered. First, will my secret theory work out? Second, Why can't even 7th level True Spirit wizards expand their mind sea enough for both systems? If I can figure out the reason for that limitation, I can decide whether my theory holds up and design a path that's truly my own. I decided to verify my theory step by step. First, I picked the gold nurturing array from the meditation manual. It matched my top-tier gold element affinity and spirit talent perfectly. I closed my eyes, and within 15 minutes, I entered my mind sea for the first time. It was a silvery white space, glowing softly. In the center was a puddle about the size of a basketball, filled with transparent liquid. That's my spiritual power in physical form. Having lived 2 lives gave me roughly 50% more spiritual power than other kids with top-tier talent. I started meditating on the first gold rune, pulling droplets of spiritual power into it, like ink forming a drawing. The rune gradually took shape, first a blurry outline, then sharper and clearer. When it finished, I was about to say, "That was easy," but a crushing wave of exhaustion hit me, and I passed out cold. My last thought was, "This is no fun." I woke up the next day at noon. First thing I did was check my infinite inventory. Instead of 1 slot, there were now 2. My theory was 1/3 confirmed. Going from ordinary person to the first step of the supernatural counted as leveling up. 1 slot per level, just like the original description said. Then I entered my mind sea again. The gold rune was floating there, and my spiritual power had recovered. I summoned my inventory grid inside the mind sea, and it appeared. 2 floating slots, one holding the magic crystal, one empty. That was 2/3 of my theory confirmed. The original description said, any item could be made infinite. If any truly means any, then spiritual power should work too. But I held off on testing that last step. I needed to answer another question first. I showered, dragged my exhausted body out, grabbed food, then headed to the teaching district's central building. I went straight to the top floor, the 26th, to find the teaching dean. If anyone could answer my question about the all-rounder path, it would be someone who'd achieved real success as a Lord Wizard. I knocked on the door. Inside sat a young woman in white wizard robes named Luna. She practically glowed, not in a romantic way, literally in a saintly, radiant way. She was surprised to see a brand new student at her door. I asked her directly, why can't even 7th level True Spirit Lord Wizards expand their mind sea enough to support both combat and functional arrays on the all-rounder path? She looked at me with genuine surprise. Most new students are still stumbling around like lost flies, and you've already thought this far. Then she gave me the answer that changed everything. The all-capable becomes all-incapable reputation was basically an old joke. Years ago, a genius who chose the all-rounder path reached the 7th level but went through a temporary weak period while his mind sea was still catching up. His rivals, people he dominated for years, ganged up on him during that window. The academy kept the story in the library on purpose as a test of students' judgment. The truth is, once an all-rounder wizard settles in at the 7th level and their mind sea keeps expanding, they become the most complete wizard of all. In fact, the other 2 paths eventually converge into the all-rounder path anyway. Elemental wizards start adding functional arrays once their mind sea grows. Functional wizards add combat arrays. The only difference is that the all-rounder walks that combined road from the very beginning. That was exactly what I needed to hear. I asked Dean Luna one more question before leaving. What are the most important foundations for a Lord Wizard? She said there are 3. First, resources, sprites, and dragons. Second, expanding your mind sea, which is something every Lord Wizard works on for their entire life. Third, imprinting as many heavenly runes as possible, because more runes means more arrays you can build. Back at my villa, I looked her up on the Academy forum. Turns out she's a white wizard. That's why she seemed to glow. It wasn't attraction, it was her energy. Like how you can instinctively feel warmth from a kind person or coldness from a snake. Now came the moment of truth. I entered my mind sea, summoned my infinite inventory, pulled out a blob of spiritual power, about half a basketball in size, and placed it into the second empty slot. The display changed too. Spiritual power times infinite. My final theory was confirmed. Infinite spiritual power achieved. I started flooding my mind sea with spiritual power, blob after blob. Since it was my own energy, there was no rejection or need to refine it. Within an hour, a thin layer of spiritual water covered the floor of my mind sea. Over the next 3 days, it built up to a meter deep. Through this process, I discovered my mind sea is 1 kilometer in every direction. That's what top-tier spiritual talent gets you. Low tier is 0.1 kilometers, medium is 0.3, high is 0.5, and top is 1.0. The gap between high and top may look small, but it means several extra arrays worth of space. Then I started imprinting runes. Each one took about 6 hours. With 12 runes needed for the basic gold nurturing array, and factoring in eating and sleeping, I could do 3 runes per day. 4 days for all 12 runes, 1 day to assemble the array. 5 days total to become a junior Lord Wizard apprentice. Other students would take weeks or months because they'd need to wait for spiritual power to recover between each rune. I didn't have that problem. On day 5, after a good breakfast, I sat down to assemble the array. I had to arrange the 12 runes in specific positions within my mind sea. I chose the right half, leaving the left half open for future functional arrays, following the all-rounder path. I moved the 12 runes into position. They lit up with golden light, and energy lines connected them together. A golden array took shape, humming with power. The moment it formed, I could feel magical particles from the world outside, colorful streams of energy. Only the unattributed and gold element particles responded to me, flowing into my body, strengthening it, and pouring into my mind sea. The array began directing that energy outward, expanding my mind sea, and gathering more spiritual power automatically. Just like that, I officially became a junior Lord Wizard apprentice. An hour after forming the array, I opened my eyes. My body was at least 3 times stronger than before. I felt like I could punch a bull to death, though I knew that was just the rush of sudden power. The magical energy had also pushed impurities out through my skin, leaving a thin layer of oil on the surface. A long bath took care of that. Back in my mind sea, I studied the changes. The gold nurturing array was doing 2 things, feeding magical particles throughout the space to slowly expand it, and generating spiritual power droplets to keep my reserves full. But the expansion was painfully slow, less than a centimeter of growth. No wonder people run out of space at higher levels. Even with better arrays later, the growth rate compared to the massive area needed is just ridiculously small. I did some math on normal progression. An apprentice needs 36 runes total across 3 arrays. At 2 runes per day, that's about 20 days. But becoming a first-level official Lord Wizard requires at least 1,000 runes. That's 500 days minimum, or about a year and a half when you factor in rest and mandatory classes. So the Academy's 3-year deadline is tight, but doable if you're disciplined. After that, advancement takes so long that the Academy basically sets you free to work at your own pace. None of this worried me. I have infinite spiritual power. No recovery time needed. Over the next 2 weeks, I powered through to senior apprentice level, completing 3 more arrays. The 10 blades array for offense, 10 golden blades slashing from all directions, the golden light array for defense, a gold elemental shield, and the flight array lets me or others fly within range. Combined with my original gold nurturing array, I now had attack, defense, support, and mobility covered. Best of all, no more paying for flying taxi rides around campus. But now I had to slow down. First-level arrays require 1,000 runes minimum, and even with unlimited spiritual power, each rune still takes hours of focused meditation. I also needed to find actual first-level array diagrams. The basic meditation manual only covered apprentice-level arrays. So I headed to the teaching district to pick my mandatory courses. There were over 100 options on the big screen, but only 10 were marked required in red. Dragon Information Basics, Elf Information Basics, Holy Domain History, Wizard Rank Introduction, Knight Rank Introduction, Sprite Information Basics, Rune Fundamentals, Relations of the 3 Great Races, Holy Domain Power Structure, and Contract Array Fundamentals. The elective courses were mostly designed for students with weak spiritual talent. Things like how to enter meditation and mind sea layout guidance. Useless for someone with top-tier talent. I picked the Sprite Information Basics class since it was about to start, and I'd be getting my own sprites soon. Time to learn what I'm dealing with. I flew to Building 127 for my first class, Sprite Information Basics. Only 8 students total, including me. A shy boy named Hart came over to say hello. He was from Rose Territory too, a commoner who'd seen me standing next to the Marquis at the gathering. I was polite, we exchanged names, and I sent him back to his seat before class started. No big deal. It cost me nothing to be decent. The teacher walked in and got straight to business. 1 hour, 3 parts, no breaks. First half was lecture, second half was questions. Part 1. How Sprites Are Born. 3,000 years ago, after the Great Expansion ended, the Holy Domain's world will created sprites using the Elven race as a template and the life-sacred tree's life rules as their soul. Once sprites were created, any magical plant in the world gained the potential to birth one. So a wheat sprite comes from a wheat plant, a herb sprite from an herb, and so on. Part 2. What sprites do. This is where my jaw dropped. A single first-level wheat sprite can cultivate 1 million acres of wheat and produce 2 harvests per year. I did the math instantly. At about 700 gene per acre, that's 1.4 billion gene of wheat annually, enough to feed roughly 10 million people for a year. And that's just one sprite. My Chinese farming genes practically exploded with joy. How could I not love these little creatures? Part 3. Sprite levels. They go from level 1 to 9, with form changes along the way. Levels 1 through 3, they're little sprites. 4 through 6, great sprites. At level 7, they transform into dragon sprites. At level 8, they become a sprite queen. Not queen of all sprites, but queen of their specific plant type. So an 8th level wheat sprite would be the queen of all wheat sprites everywhere. When the question period came, nobody else raised their hand, so I jumped in with 3 questions. First, can you make sprites artificially? Yes. It takes 1,000 top-grade magic crystals, a special array, the right plant, and 3 years of waiting to produce one first-level sprite. Detailed information is in the library's 9th floor special section. Second, how do sprites level up? Simple. They eat magic crystals. The more crystals they absorb, the higher they grow. Third, how do you make a sprite your partner? Through a contract. The mandatory contract array fundamentals class covers exactly how to contract both sprites and dragons. 1,000 top-grade crystals to create one sprite. I almost laughed out loud. I have infinite top-grade crystals. The farming possibilities were making my head spin. A girl in class blurted out that 1,000 top-grade crystals was way too expensive for creating a sprite. The teacher smiled and said it was absolutely worth it. Sprites live as long as wizards do. A first-level sprite alone lives 1,000 years. Even earning just 1 crystal per year, you'd break even eventually, and as the sprite levels up, the payback comes faster. For me, of course, the cost is basically 0. The teacher also mentioned that detailed sprite creation information is on the library's 9th floor in a special section. I'd been stuck on the 1st floor before due to my level, so I hadn't even known about hidden areas. More surprises to discover. After class, I headed to the library's 2nd floor. I couldn't enter the reading area yet. That requires first-level wizard status, but I could ask questions at the entrance. A senior student was stationed there as a guard, earning contribution points. I told her I needed a first-level array diagram. She looked surprised. Apparently, I was the first new student this year to ask for one. She explained the system. Every student gets 1 free first-level array diagram before advancing. It's a gift from the academy. Once you reach first-level wizard, you can enter the floor and browse detail materials, but anything beyond that free pick costs crystals or contribution points. And no, you can't pay to enter floors above your current level. The academy prevents students from biting off more than they can chew. She handed me a catalog. Every array listed contained between 1,000 and 1,568 runes, clearly calculated so that at 2 runes per day, even the hardest one is completable within 3 years. I chose the 100 Blades array with 1,200 runes. It was a natural upgrade from my apprentice level 10 Blades array, not too ambitious, not too easy. At my pace of 3 runes per day with no recovery time needed, I'd finish in about 400 days. She registered the diagram to my badge and handed me the book with a warning: never share array diagrams with others. The Holy Domains will monitor everything. Get caught, and you're flagged with a red name on the network. Then the Truth Tower, the supreme wizard organization, sends people to arrest you. On the elevator ride down, I thought about why the academy gives 1 free diagram per level. It's partly a gift, but also a push. They want students advancing quickly. In an era with no wars, internal or external, that urgency has to come from somewhere. There's probably something about Lord Wizards that I still don't know, some deeper reason the Academy wants us leveling up fast. I headed to the library's 9th floor, the special section. A middle-aged man sat at the entrance playing with a crystal ball. He warned me that everything inside costs contribution points or crystals, so I shouldn't go in if I was broke. I thanked him and walked in anyway. The floor was small, just 2 sections with 2 bookshelves each. One labeled Dragons, one labeled Sprites. I went straight to the Sprite section. After an hour of reading 3 books, I learned a lot. Sprites vary in value based on the plant they're born from. A wheat sprite is useful, sure, but a sprite born from a rare medicinal herb is obviously worth more. I also found what I was really looking for, the array used to artificially create sprites. It's called the Miracle Array, created by the Holy Domain's will itself. It's unattributed but adapts based on what crystals you feed it. Use fire crystals, and it becomes a fire attribute array. The rune count is only 1,300, equivalent to a first-level array. The requirements are simple: 1,000 top-grade magic crystals, 1 magical plant, and 3 years of incubation. The crystal type needs to match the plant's element, but unattributed crystals work as a universal substitute. Thank goodness the Marquis gave me an unattributed crystal. If I'd gotten an elemental one, my options would have been limited. I skimmed the dragon section too, but found nothing useful enough to buy. The sprite creation array was the only thing worth getting. I went back to the man at the entrance and asked to buy the Miracle Array diagram. He said it cost 1,000 contribution points, or 1 high-grade crystal. But since I couldn't spare time to imprint the array myself right now, I asked if he sold pre-made array discs instead. He grinned and said yes, same price per disc, but that was his own private business, not the Academy's. I pulled a top-grade magic crystal from my spatial ring and tossed it to him. 1 array diagram and 99 array discs. 1 top-grade crystal equals 100 high-grade crystals, so the math worked perfectly. He jumped to his feet, suddenly very respectful. Haha, what a generous young man. He even bowed and introduced himself. Linus, at my service. Money really does make the world go round. Then he did something that blew my mind. He summoned a wizard array, pulled out 10 metal discs, tapped each one once, and they lit up instantly. He swept them aside, grabbed 10 more, and repeated. In under 3 minutes, 100 finished array discs were floating in the air. He said the extra one was a gift. I asked, "That's it?" He laughed and said this was a Lord Wizard's unique ability. It looks easy, and honestly it is easy, but it's a skill he earned. I told him I didn't feel cheated at all. It's like hiring a locksmith back on Earth. You're not paying for the 30 seconds of work, you're paying for the years of expertise. He saved me enormous time, and that was worth every crystal. Linus told me something interesting. Array disc prices are fixed by the Array Association. No one can undercut the market, because that would hurt every array maker. Lord Wizards are rare enough that their products will always hold value. I stored all 100 discs into one of my parents' spatial rings and left with the Miracle Array diagram. On the way home, I thought about those rings. After becoming an apprentice, I'd finally been able to open them with my blood and spiritual energy. Inside wasn't much, about 70 high-grade crystals total, barely worth one of my infinite top-grade crystals. But there were also clothes and photos of my parents. Those hit different. I'd lived with them for 10 years in this life, since the day I was born. I'm not heartless. Losing them so suddenly still hurts. Back at the villa, I grabbed some fruit and juice from my supplies and opened the Miracle Array diagram. It had 3 sections, the full array layout, 1,300 runes, and assembly instructions. The layout and assembly were standard. But the runes, I couldn't read a single one. Not one out of 1,300. I've studied this world's writing since childhood, but these symbols were completely foreign. Then I remembered the book said the Miracle Array was created by the Holy Domain's will itself. That explained it. These weren't human-made runes. I could still copy the shapes and assemble the array mechanically, but I wouldn't understand why each rune does what it does. For now, that didn't matter. I had 100 pre-made discs, so I shelved the diagram and focused on my own training. I imprinted my spiritual power onto one disc to activate it. Information flooded my mind, and the process was way simpler than I'd imagined. No giant ritual space needed. Just fill the disk's internal space with 1,000 top-grade crystals, place it at the bottom of a flower pot, plant the magical plant on top, and wait 3 years for the sprite to be born. So my shopping list is short. Get a magical plant catalog from the Elemental Wizard Academy. Pick the plants I want, buy them from a wood element wizard, and start growing sprites in my front yard. And here's the best part. My villa has a built-in illusion array. From the outside, nobody can see what's actually in my courtyard. They only see a fake image. No one can enter without my invitation either, not even teachers. Breaking in gets reported to the Truth Tower, and no wizard wants to face that punishment. Privacy is sacred in this world because no wizard wants their research stolen. This villa is mine until I graduate or leave to become a territorial lord. That's why new students like me get assigned to Zone 7 instead of Zone 1. So we never have to move, and we can set up long-term projects like sprite cultivation without worrying. Everything is falling into place. Time to start my sprite farm. After clearing my head about the Miracle Array plan, I picked up the 100 Blades Array diagram. Unlike the Miracle Array's alien runes, I could actually read every symbol in this one. Good. I'm not illiterate after all. Then I spent 1 high-grade crystal to have a flying taxi deliver a massive encyclopedia of magical plants. The thing was so thick I couldn't even finish the table of contents in one morning. I realized I needed a strategy, so I asked myself 3 questions. What do I need? What will my future followers need? What sells best? After 3 hours, I settled on 10 types of magical plants, 10 of each. For myself, I picked Cloud Mist Tea, which boosts mental clarity, and Golden Pear Trees, whose fruit is packed with gold element energy that strengthens both body and magical power. With infinite spiritual power already handled, my weaknesses are physical strength and comprehension. These two cover both. For future followers, I chose Knight's Flower, which builds physical strength and blood energy for knights, and Spirit Awakening Flower, which helps wizards recover mental power quickly. These are essentials that every knight and wizard needs. For commercial appeal, I picked 4. Dragon Tooth Rice as a staple food that slightly boosts physical fitness, great for knights. 5 element peach trees that grow gold, wood, water, fire, and earth elemental peaches, useful for wizards, knights, and dragons alike. Dragon Bloodgrass, the main ingredient in healing potions. And Celestial Spirit Fruit trees, which improve bloodline purity. These would attract supernatural beings and merchant guilds to my future territory. For my ordinary citizens, I chose wheat, low level but massive yields. Feed the common people, feed the nation. And for my 10th pick, I chose tulips. They're unranked magical plants with unlimited growth potential. I picked them because of the Marquis's rose gardens. I want my own territory to have a signature flower. Tulips come in 9 colors with 9 different meanings, and I remembered them all from my previous life. They'll be my territories and family's symbols someday. I hired flying taxis to deliver everything and spent 3 days planting. Each pot got a Miracle Array disc loaded with 1,000 top-grade crystals at the bottom, soil on top, and a magical plant seedling. 100 pots total, filling my entire courtyard with greenery. When I placed the last tulip and stepped back, I looked at my little garden with deep satisfaction. In 3 years, 100 sprites will be born here. That's right around when I'll pass the 3-year exam and enter the free study period. 100 sprites fluttering around me would be like parking 100 supercars in your driveway back on Earth. Followers will come flooding in like a tidal wave. 100 sprites. I can barely imagine how much confidence that will give me. After finishing my planting, I washed up and headed to the cafeteria. But when I stepped out of the teleportation corridor into the central plaza, I saw a crowd gathered around something. My Chinese instinct for watching drama kicked in, so I squeezed through to look. I immediately regretted it. Standing in the middle was a young girl about my age, next to a sign that read, "Lost Person Notice. Personal maid has lost her master. Master's name is Wayne." And at the bottom, 3 words, "Little Sprite." She'd been standing there for 3 days. 3 days. The crowd had been gossiping about how this Wayne guy was irresponsible enough to lose his own maid. I wanted to disappear. I stepped forward. "I'm Wayne," she grinned. "Finally found you." I grabbed her sign, activated my flight array, and flew us both to the cafeteria before the crowd could gossip more. Over food, I asked why she didn't just look up my address. She explained that even her father, General Derry, a 7th-level Holy Dragon Knight, couldn't access student records. The Truth Tower's privacy protections are that strong. That was actually reassuring news for my secret sprite garden. Her name was Derry Aurora. I told her the deal with her father was for a follower, not a maid. She smiled brightly and said becoming a maid was her own idea. Then she dropped a bomb. I want to become your woman. I lost it. Aurora, I'm 12 years old. She rolled her eyes. So am I. My brother had a son at 12, right? This isn't modern Earth. It's basically a medieval world with magic. I forced myself to calm down. I asked why. Her answer was surprisingly practical. My talent guarantees a bright future, and she needs resources for her knight training. The Derry family is new. Only 6 core members. Her father is a 7th level knight, but he's not a territorial lord. He's a merit noble, which is basically an honorary title without land or resource production. Everything comes from imperial handouts. With 3 older brothers consuming all the family's resources, plus her parents' own training stalling out, there's nothing left for her. She explained the empire's 2 types of nobility. Real nobles are lord wizards with territories, ranked from baron up to duke. Merit nobles are warriors rewarded for service, ranked by level, but without their own land. They depend entirely on whoever they serve for resources. I also finally understood why I was called a merit descendant back in Rose territory. The merit part referred to a noble title, not just honorable sacrifice. I looked at her and said, "Your father really loves you." She beamed with pride. Of course, but then she got serious. The Derry family is small and new, so she's treated well as the only daughter. In an old, powerful family, someone with her low-tier talent would just be married off as a political tool and forgotten within a century. She had a point. Strong talent plus a powerful family means safety. Weak talent plus a powerful family can mean becoming someone else's bargaining chip. Aurora asked if I'd accept her proposal. I shook my head. No, not because of your talent, but because I won't let calculation and self-interest into my love life. She looked disappointed for a second, then smiled even bigger. Hearing you say that actually makes me think we have a chance. I didn't respond. Sure, I'm a grown man's soul in a kid's body, so I'm not uninterested in women. But right now, supernatural power has me completely hooked. Romance can't compete with imprinting one more rune. I changed the subject and asked her to break down the cost of training a knight. This would help me understand what I'd need to provide for future followers. She explained that before level 7, knight training is all about resources. With enough supplies and matching talent, you can reach 6th level Diamond Knight in 30 years. For trainee knights, daily costs run about 15 to 25 purple gold coins, 1 knight's flower at 5 coins, or a blood energy potion at 10, plus 10 gene of dragon tooth rice at 1 coin per gene. Top configuration comes to about 20 coins a day. For first level black iron knights, the costs jump significantly. A first level knight's flower costs 30 low-grade crystals. A first level blood energy potion is 100. 20 gene of first level dragon tooth rice runs 200, and 10 gene of first level black iron costs another 200. Top daily expense, about 500 low-grade crystals, with a small buffer up to 525. The price increase from trainee to first level is roughly tenfold just for the rice alone. I wasn't worried about money. I have infinite crystals. What struck me was the sheer wealth of Lord Wizards. The Rose Marquis casually maintained 3,000 third-level silver knights as guards. Between first level and third level, there's a whole second-level bronze stage in between. The costs must be enormous. And she's only a Marquis. Imagine what dukes and royal lords can afford. But I liked it. A bigger stage means more room to unleash my potential. Our food arrived. Aurora asked if I thought the costs were expensive. I told her it was nothing to me. Then I pointed out that her father, a 7th-level Holy Dragon Knight, should easily afford her early training costs. I also asked if she wasn't worried about angering me with her stunt and ruining her father's carefully laid plans. She just looked at me calmly. Are you actually angry? That shut me up. Women really are impossible. One minute she's proposing marriage. The next, she's winning arguments with one sentence. After we finished eating, she finally couldn't hold back. Don't you even want to ask about the sprite? I kept my face completely flat. When will it be born? She stomped her foot. Do you even know what a sprite represents? I was laughing inside. I've got 100 sprites growing in my backyard right now. What kind of reaction did she expect? but I played along. What reaction do you want from me? Aurora told me something useful before we parted. A single sprite produces value equal to an entire night order of the same level each year. So a first-level sprite equals a first-level night order annually. I thanked her sincerely. She didn't know it, but I was doing the math. 100 sprites in 3 years means the equivalent of 100 night orders worth of resources. Insane. I gave her back the embarrassing sign and told her my address. Zone 7, Villa 66. But she explained she couldn't actually enter the Lord Wizard dormitory area. It's completely restricted. Unless someone is officially registered as your follower, maid, or butler through the administration office and given a proper badge, nobody gets in. Not even a 7th-level knight like her father. We agreed to meet again in 3 months when the sprite would be ready. I needed to focus entirely on training until then. She said she'd bring the sprite and wait for me at the Central Plaza. I nodded, said goodbye, and walked into the teleportation corridor. As I left, I heard her laugh behind me. Looks like I'll be following a good person. Later that evening, back at the Dairy household, the whole family discussed me over dinner. Aurora's mother, a 6th-level wood wizard, was worried about her daughter. Her 3 older brothers, all blessed with top-tier physical talent, but apparently not much brainpower, kept saying they'd beat up anyone who bullied their sister. Their mother sighed about raising 3 muscle-headed sons. General Dairy arrived and asked Aurora directly if she'd given up her ridiculous idea of becoming my woman. He'd predicted I would reject her. He said I was too mature and clear-headed to be swayed by appearances or easy benefits. Aurora confirmed I'd turned her down, but repeated my exact words. My feelings won't allow any scheming or self-interest to interfere. Her 3 brothers immediately cheered. Now that's a real man. Her mother was genuinely moved. She told Aurora she was lucky. The last time I heard something like that was years ago, from a poet's story in a tavern during my school days. I spent the next month locked in my villa, grinding runes. By the end of it, I'd imprinted 100 out of 1,200 runes for the 100 blades array, 1/12 done. About 366 days left at my pace of 3 runes per day. That's a full year faster than most students would manage. When my food supplies ran out, I finally dragged myself outside. After restocking, I figured since I was already out, I might as well attend the night rank introduction class. A month of non-stop meditation had left me restless, and my conversation with Aurora had sparked genuine curiosity about nights. I checked the schedule. Class started in an hour. Instead of flying straight there, I took a slow walk through the teaching district. Most people were zipping overhead in a hurry, but I just strolled, enjoying the scenery. And by scenery, I partly mean the pretty senior students walking around. After a month of staring at nothing but runes, my eyes needed refreshment. When it was time, I flew to Building 201 and found room 302 on the 3rd floor. The door was closed. The room was empty. I sat down and waited. About 10 minutes later, I heard sharp heels clicking down the hallway. In walked a stunning woman in a fiery red dress. She scanned the room and said, "Looks like it's just you." Her voice was distinctive, not soft or gentle, but intense and commanding, like she'd punch you if you stepped out of line. I introduced myself. She gave a curt nod, but didn't share her name. She jumped straight into business. 2 hours, 90 minutes of lecture, 30 minutes for questions, no interruptions. She laid out the night ranking system. Knights go through a trainee phase with 3 substages: beginner, intermediate, and advanced. Then come 9 official levels. 1st level black iron, 2nd level bronze, 3rd level silver, 4th level gold, 5th level platinum, 6th level diamond, 7th level holy dragon, 8th level rule knight, and 9th level holy domain knight. That was just part 1. Parts 2 and 3 would cover each level's special characteristics and resource requirements. The teacher dove into the details of knight power levels. During the trainee phase, it's all about raw physical strength through breathing techniques and resources. Beginner knights need 120,000 gene of force, intermediate need 240,000, and advanced need 360,000. I noticed that matched up perfectly. Each 10,000 gene equals 1 wizard rune, and wizards need 36 runes for the apprentice stage. The teacher confirmed my guess. The difference is that wizards use knowledge and spiritual power to move the forces of heaven and earth, while knights rely on pure individual explosive power until 7th level. To break into first-level Black Iron Knight, you absorb a gene of first-level Black Iron and condense it into a life seed. That's the real entry into supernatural territory. After that, you keep feeding the seed more Black Iron. At full mastery, your body literally becomes as tough as Black Iron, nearly impossible to damage with ordinary attacks. You can also fly. In my mind, knights are basically tanks and warriors combined. They hit hard and take hits even harder. Levels 2 through 6 follow the same pattern with different materials: bronze, silver, gold, platinum, diamond. The real transformation comes at level 7. 7th level knights are called Holy Dragon Knights because the strongest ones contract elemental dragons and absorb their bloodline. Without a dragon, you can contract other magical beasts instead, but the gap in power is enormous. And your contracted beast determines whether you can reach 8th level Rule Knight. You essentially need a dragon for that. Nobody knows what 9th level Holy Domain Knights can do. No one's ever reached that level. Same goes for 9th level All-Knowing Wizards. Then came the resource costs. Every level from 1 through 8 requires 3 daily basics: blood energy potions, dragon tooth rice, and a level-appropriate training material. For levels 1 through 6, that material is a mineral. At 7 and 8, it shifts to elemental magical plants and potions. During the question period, I was the only student, so the teacher's eyes were locked on me the entire time. I asked 5 questions. On wizards versus knights in combat. Lord Wizards are stronger than knights at every level before 7. Wizards get their first power transformation at 4th level Star Wizard, while knights don't transform until 7th level. That's a huge gap. Elemental wizards are harder to compare because their strength varies based on individual foundations, but Lord Wizards with their instant cast arrays outclass everyone in the same tier. At 7th level though, all bets are off. Anyone who reaches that stage has their own trump cards, and even the weakest 7th level fighter can casually slaughter a crowd of 6th level opponents. My most interesting question was about foundations. The teacher gave me a perfect example. If a knight trains with standard 1st level Black Iron, they're ordinary. But if they use 1st level refined steel, or even better, a metal that matches their elemental affinity, that knight would be far stronger than a typical elemental wizard of the same level. Resources determine everything. That clicked perfectly with my plans. I have infinite top-grade crystals. My future followers won't be training with standard materials. The teacher answered my remaining questions. Recruiting knights happens after the 3-year exam. Every year, the Elemental Wizard and Knight Academies hold competitions where Lord Wizards can scout and recruit followers. Academy-trained knights are almost always stronger than outsiders because of their superior talent. The rare exceptions are once-in-centuries miracles. As for why dragon contracts matter for reaching 8th level Rule Knight, it comes down to the forces of heaven and earth. Wizards interact with those forces from the apprentice stage, but knights don't until 7th level. Elemental dragons give knights the easiest path to sensing those forces. Contract the wrong beast, and you're stuck at 7th level forever. Though she added that if a knight also has wizard talent, they could potentially find another way to 8th level. I bowed and thanked her. She gave me a small smile, said, "At least you have manners," and walked out without looking back. I sat there reviewing everything, then planned my schedule: 1 mandatory class per month, finish all required courses, and reach 1st level wizard within about a year. As for training future followers with the best possible resources, I can absolutely afford it, but I need to be smart about it. Using top-tier materials openly would raise too many eyebrows. Even the Imperial Knights might not get that treatment. Chinese wisdom says stay low-key. I train my people with the best stuff in private, but keep appearances modest. My training was accelerating too. By month 2, I was imprinting 100 runes per month. The constant flow of magical energy into my body was making me physically stronger, so I could now go several days and nights without rest, sleep once, and wake up fully recharged. 1,000 runes left, about 10 more months at this pace. The next class I picked was Wizard Rank Introduction. About 50 students showed up this time. The instructor, a young man who refused to share his name since we weren't official members yet, laid out the wizard levels. It starts with the apprentice stage in 3 sublevels, then 9 official ranks. 1st level official wizard, 2nd level elite wizard, 3rd level grand wizard, 4th level star wizard, 5th level Full Moon Wizard, 6th level Great Sun Wizard, 7th level True Spirit Wizard, 8th level Rule Wizard, and 9th level All-Knowing Wizard. Wizards get 3 major transformations. The first happens at 4th level Star Wizard, the second at 7th level True Spirit, and from 7th level onward, every single advancement is a transformation. He was about to explain what those transformations actually involve. Now I understood why knights can't match wizards at the same level. Wizards simply have more transformations. Knights get 1 at 7th level. Wizards get 3 at 4th, 7th, and then every level after that. The teacher explained advancement. To become a 1st level wizard, you imprint enough runes to form 1 1st level array. But that's just the entry point. You need 3 arrays at each level to fully complete that stage. There are 2 approaches. Combine 3 arrays into 1 perfect integrated system for maximum combat power, or imprint 3 separate arrays for maximum versatility but weaker fighting ability. Then came the transformations. At 4th level Star Wizard, you can travel through space and even lead invasions of lower-level planes, at least during the Great Expansion era. At 7th level True Spirit Wizard, 2 things happen. First, your spirit and body merge to create something called a True Spirit, which you imprint onto the world's origin. This grants immortality. You live as long as heaven and earth exist. Second, you gain mastery over your corresponding elemental laws. A single thought can destroy everything. Immortality. That word hit me like lightning. Since the day I arrived in this world, eternal life has been my ultimate goal. Now I know exactly where the finish line is. 7th level True Spirit Wizard. 8th level Rule Wizards aren't even considered human anymore. They're called embodiments of rules. The teacher only had 1 sentence to describe them. 9th level All-Knowing Wizard hasn't been achieved by anyone yet. During the question period, some kid excitedly asked how long it takes to reach 7th level. The teacher said it varies, anywhere from a few hundred to a few thousand years. Then he shut down further questions like that. I jumped in with 2 practical questions. First, is there a standard rune count for each level? Yes. For 1st level, it's 1,000 to 5,000 runes. Multiply any level's array rune count by 3, and that's your total. Second, how do people identify a wizard's level? 2 ways. The Academy badge automatically displays your rank once you reach it, and array range. Apprentice arrays cover 12 meters, 1st level arrays cover a kilometer, and so on. After class, I found a quiet spot and spent 30 minutes organizing everything. Key takeaways. 1 rune equals 1 meter of range. Each level requires completing 3 full arrays, not just 1. And most importantly, 7th level True Spirit Wizard means immortality. My goal is now crystal clear. Step 1. Become a 7th level True Spirit Wizard. Step 2. Live forever. Let's start with that small achievement. 3 months in. 300 runes done, 900 to go. Today was the day I'd agreed to meet Aurora. I found her waiting at the plaza in a white dress. When I asked if she brought the sprite, she shook her head. Sprites are too valuable to carry around uncontracted. They can only bond with 1 human in their entire lifetime. If someone snatched it before the contract, even killing the thief wouldn't get it back. Fair point. Society might be peaceful, but greed is eternal. She grabbed my arm and pulled me toward the teleportation array. Her badge flashed, and we warped out. I asked how she could use the array without being a wizard. She showed me a special bloodline badge. The Imperial family developed them for family members without talent. Just add a drop of blood, and it works. We emerged in the capital's core district. The streets were lined with shops, bustling with humans, dwarves, and even elves. Hovering cars floated through the air like taxis. I was genuinely impressed. This part of the capital was far more advanced than anything I'd seen. We hopped into one. Aurora just said, "Dairy residence," and the car knew where to go. Apparently, any family with a 7th level powerhouse gets their estate marked on the city map automatically. Looking at their sprawling estate with knights standing guard at the gates, I felt that familiar Chinese longing stir inside me. Land. Home. Property. It's in our DNA. I'll have this someday, I told myself. Aurora led me to the north garden. In the center stood a single glowing plant, a dragon blood ginseng with 1 main stem, 3 branches, and 5 leaves, all radiating a soft blue-green light. I recognized it immediately from my studies. It has an upper limit of 6th level. Her father had found it decades ago during his travels. Aurora explained the glow meant the sprite was about to be born. Her mother confirmed it would happen today. Then my heart skipped a beat. Glowing means a sprite is being nurtured? I have 100 plants incubating in my courtyard right now. If anyone ever visited my villa and saw 100 glowing plants. I quickly asked if the glow starts from the very beginning. Aurora gave me a curious look, but explained that no. Plants only start glowing about 100 years before the sprite is fully formed. Since my plants are on a 3-year artificial cycle, the glow would appear roughly in the last 100 days, or about 2 years from now. I relaxed a little. By then I'll already be a first-level official wizard with far more options to deal with the problem. Worst case, I just don't invite anyone into my villa during that final stretch. I put my worries about the glowing plants aside and focused on the dragon blood ginseng in front of me. According to what I'd read, it's used to feed dragon-type beasts and brew bloodline-enhancing potions. It complements the celestial spirit fruit trees I'm already growing. Those purify bloodlines while this one strengthens them. A nice bonus I hadn't planned for. Aurora asked if I knew how to contract a sprite. I admitted I'd planned to learn that today, but, well, got pulled here instead. She laughed, she'd already guessed, and pulled out a master servant contract disc she'd prepared in advance. Smart girl. While I imprinted my spiritual power on the disc, I asked about contract types. She explained there are 3. Master servant contracts, used mostly by wizards. Partner contracts, also popular with wizards. And symbiotic contracts, mainly for knights. At 7th level, knights need to share a beast's bloodline to sense the forces of heaven and earth. Her father used a symbiotic contract with a fire variant dragon called a flame dragon, gaining its fire element bloodline and advancing to 7th level Holy Dragon Knight. Then a brilliant red light erupted from the garden's center. The dragon blood ginseng lifted itself out of the ground and floated into the air, revealing its full form, palm-sized with a humanoid shape, complete with tiny facial features. Life energy surged in from everywhere, pouring into it. Watching a new life being born from pure natural force left me speechless. The birth of life? I whispered. When the light faded, a tiny sprite hovered before me, and she was absolutely stunning. She had long red hair, a fiery red dress decorated with golden dragon patterns, little red high heels, and bright red eyes that looked around in confused wonder. She was barely bigger than my palm. Aurora snapped me out of it. Contract her, now. I walked forward with the contract disc. The little sprite nibbled her finger curiously, watching me approach. I activated the array, and magic energy rushed in from all sides, wrapping us both in a glowing circle. Then I pulled a top-grade magic crystal from my infinite inventory and waved it at her. Contract with me, and I'll give you as many of these as you want. The instant she saw the crystal, her eyes lit up with raw desire. I handed it over. She flew right to it, hugged the thing, which was nearly as big as her entire body, and bit into it. Just chomped right through it. I was shocked. I tried smashing these crystals before and couldn't crack them, but her tiny teeth cut through like butter. After about a dozen bites, she stopped, burped, and covered her mouth in embarrassment. Adorable. She looked at me and spoke, which surprised me. If we contract, will you really give me unlimited amounts of those tasty stones? I asked how she could talk. She said the holy domains. Mother gave her basic knowledge of the world when she was born. I always keep my word, I told her. I guarantee unlimited supply. She nodded. Then I'll contract with you, Master. Her body glowed red, and a tiny droplet of her blood appeared in the air. I bit my finger and let a drop of my own blood fall. The contract array pulled both droplets together, merged them, and absorbed them into the formation. The master-servant contract was officially complete. I had my first sprite. The moment the contract completed, I felt a connection to the little sprite. I could even sense her emotions. She was happy because she'd just eaten something delicious. Aurora walked over and called me Master. I was surprised. She explained that since we hadn't signed a holy domain contract yet, she considered herself my property already. I told her to call me Young Master instead. Master didn't feel right for her. Her eyes literally sparkled. You're agreeing to let me be your maid? I looked at the sprite, then at Aurora's beaming face, and thought about the whole situation. As an adult mind in a kid's body, I could read between the lines. General Derry should have been present for something as important as a sprite's birth and contract. But he deliberately stayed away, giving me space and a relaxed atmosphere to make my decision without pressure. That kind of thoughtfulness deserves recognition. When someone offers you respect, you accept it gracefully. Yes, starting today, you're my maid. She cheered so brightly it actually warmed my heart a little. She led me to the family's castle. The whole Derry family was there. Aurora introduced everyone. Her father, the general, her mother, Murola, a beautiful woman and sixth-level wood wizard, and her three brothers, Andrew, Wiggins, and Naruto. All three brothers looked like they'd been raised on growth hormones. The shortest was at least 6 feet tall at 12 years old. Standing next to them, I was about 2.5 times thinner. I bowed to the general and his wife. Uncle, Auntie, pleased to meet you. The general laughed his booming laugh and said he'd known I was special from our first meeting. He asked me to take care of Aurora. I promised I would, and offered to put it in the contract. I'd give her a bright future. Then I brought up the Holy Domain contract myself. The family's faces lit up. They'd been too polite to push for it, so me volunteering meant a lot. The general handed me a scroll, completely blank. He wanted me to write the terms myself. I saw through his move immediately. He's like Zhang Fei from the old stories, rough on the outside, sharp on the inside. Handing me the pen looks generous, but if I wrote anything harsh, would he really let his daughter sign? Still, I appreciated the gesture. Hard to dislike a man like that. I'd actually been thinking about contract terms for years, ever since I learned about Holy Domain scrolls from my parents' pension agreement back in Rose territory. So I wrote quickly. 3 terms. First, I will train Aurora to the absolute limit of my ability. Second, I will provide her with top-tier daily training resources. Third, in the absence of conflict, Aurora cannot harm me or anyone close to me by any means. When the general read it aloud, the room went silent. Then everyone stared at Aurora in disbelief. The terms were shockingly generous, basically promising her the best possible future with almost no restrictions on her end. The general looked at his daughter like she'd cast some kind of dark spell on me. His youngest son actually said it out loud. Dear sister, you didn't use black magic on him, right? Aurora stomped her foot when her family accused her of using dark magic on me. She pointed out that the Academy checks contract terms when registering followers. Anything harmful to the Lord Wizard gets flagged. She'd never risk that. General Derry looked at me with much warmer eyes than before and asked if I understood just how generous my contract terms were compared to normal ones. I told him plainly, I'm a merit descendant. You should understand what that means. He raised an eyebrow. He hadn't known that about me. As a general, he knew exactly what merit descendants go through. The pension contract we signed is the most restrictive, condition-heavy contract in the entire empire. So the fact that I'd write something this simple after experiencing that, it clearly made him think. He thought for a long while, then picked up the pen and added a 4th rule himself. Aurora may not reveal any of Wayne's private matters by any means. A chill ran down my spine. He'd clearly noticed something. Probably my line about training Aurora, within my ability, to an outsider, that implies I have some hidden advantage, some secret source of confidence. I'd been careless. Not about security exactly, but about showing my hand too openly. I needed to be more careful going forward. But the general wasn't threatening me. He was protecting me. He then pulled out another Holy Domain scroll and had his entire family, wife, 3 sons, everyone, sign a contract swearing never to reveal the terms of my agreement with Aurora. Each one dripped blood onto the scroll. The worlds will witness it, and the scroll burned to ash. That genuinely moved me. I signed the contract with Aurora. She bit her finger, added her blood. The scroll glowed and burned away. The Holy Domain contract was officially sealed. Afterward, the general's wife Murola told him privately that I seemed like a good kid but lacked worldly experience. The general agreed and said that inexperience was precisely why Aurora got such a good deal. They decided to increase their investment. After 3 years, all 3 sons would be sent to follow me too. The general even said he and his wife would pause their own training to fund top-tier resources for the brothers, so they wouldn't be average among my future followers. In the hovering car heading back, I finally asked the little sprite her name. She stood up straight and announced proudly, I'm Nia. She was adorable. Already knew my name from listening to our conversations. Aurora introduced herself to Nia too. and watching the two of them interact was heartwarming. Then I got practical. I asked Aurora about housing for sprites, what resources she needed for her own training, and her elemental affinity. She told me sprites live in miniature alchemical houses, and her element? Light, one of the rarest affinities. We could buy everything we needed at the commercial center in the capital's South District. We headed to the South District's commercial center. Aurora was thrilled about shopping, especially when I mentioned buying clothes. "I'll make you look so pretty," she said. "Handsome," I corrected her. The commercial street was enormous and bustling, but we couldn't walk far before everyone started staring. At Nia, specifically. Having a sprite on your shoulder attracts attention like a magnet. Aurora suggested we take a hovering car straight to the center instead of walking. The central area was mind-blowing. A massive circular plaza with ring after ring of shops, roads 20 meters wide. It looked more like a city than a shopping district. Aurora clearly knew her way around. She pulled me into a 3-story clothing shop. A saleswoman greeted us, glanced briefly at Nia, and kept her composure professionally. I told her what I needed: formal wear, casual clothes, and sleepwear. 20 sets each for both male and female. Then I asked if they had sprite-sized clothes. Nia's eyes lit up. "Nia gets clothes too?" "Of course she does." The saleswoman was practically glowing. The commission on this order must have been great. They had an entire section of tiny palm-sized outfits for sprites, battle gear, evening dresses, casual wear, all in vibrant colors. I sat in the rest area watching Aurora and Nia pick out outfits together. I also noticed quite a few other sprite owners shopping nearby. So sprites aren't as rare as I'd thought, at least not here in the imperial capital. Then I had an idea. I asked the saleswoman about shorts and short-sleeve shirts. She gave me a weird look. In this world, short clothing is associated with farm slaves. I quickly clarified that I wasn't talking about rough work clothes, and described exactly what I meant. Sleeves ending just above the elbow, breathable cotton fabric, and shorts reaching about 7 to 10 centimeters above the knee with a drawstring waist. She understood and said they didn't have anything like that in stock, but could make them on the spot. She took me upstairs to a replication array, basically a magical clothing printer. You design the shape using elemental energy, feed in the fabric, and the finished garment appears in minutes. She showed me 3 fabric options: regular cotton, a white material with invisible micro-holes for breathability, and a sky blue eye silkworm fabric that feels cool to the touch. I ordered 10 sets of each. She asked if I wanted patterns. Dragons were popular. My eyes lit up. "You can customize patterns?" She demonstrated by adding a dragon design to the prototype, and it looked amazing. I clapped. "Perfect. Can I get other designs too?" "Of course." "What would you like?" "Roses, tulips, tigers, and horses," she smiled, clearly thinking I was just a kid with eclectic taste, and got to work. Nia loved the custom clothes and demanded fire dragon patterns. Aurora wanted some too, then whispered that she hadn't realized I was into this kind of thing. I flicked her forehead. She didn't get that short sleeves and shorts are just normal where I'm from. Then Nia chimed in with zero filter. "You're just saying he wants to mate, right?" The holy domain Mother's memories told me about that. Aurora's face went dark and she chased Nia around trying to cover her mouth. These two are going to be a handful. By 4 o'clock, we'd moved to the real center of the commercial district, the area dedicated entirely to supernatural goods. Aurora pointed out 3 massive buildings arranged in a triangle: the Elf Commerce Guild, the Dragon Commerce Guild, and the Human Alchemy Guild. Elves specialize in magical plants, dragons in minerals and ores, and humans in crafted products like potions and alchemical weapons. Between the 3, you can find almost anything a wizard or knight needs. We hit the Elf Commerce Guild first. Aurora explained that since sprites were born from the elven race and their sacred tree, elves treat sprites like distant family. They carry the most sprite-friendly products. The moment we walked in, the place was impossibly huge, space-folding magic at work. A beautiful elf saleswoman greeted Nia, first with genuine warmth. When she turned to me, I told her I wanted a sprite house, the best one available. And anything else good for Nia. All top quality. She led us to the premium section and showed me 3 options through crystal ball projections. A villa house for 3 to 5 sprites, a manor house for 10 to 30, and a castle house for up to 100. All are alchemical products with folded space inside. I frowned. "You're showing me houses based on capacity?" How is Fitzmore Sprites the same as best quality? She calmly explained that I'd misunderstood. The exterior is just the shell. The manor house, for example, contains a folded space of 3,000 square kilometers inside. Each sprite gets their own separated home with at least 100 meters between them. The remaining land is for sprites to practice cultivating plants. At full capacity of 30 sprites, each one gets roughly 100 square kilometers. Plus, the house comes with built-in teleportation arrays, energy-gathering arrays, and defensive arrays. It's basically a portable territory. That made much more sense. So the displayed model is just the outside. Inside, there are 30 individual manor-style homes plus vast farmland. I asked how much magic crystal it needs per year for power. 1 high-grade crystal, she said. Just one? I was genuinely surprised. That seemed cheap. She laughed gently. You're wealthy, sir, but your basic knowledge needs work. The crystal is just a starter. After that, the built-in energy-gathering array pulls ambient magical energy from the environment to power everything. Fair enough. I walked right into that one. I chose the biggest option, the castle house, fit for up to 100 sprites. Nia got to pick the exterior style and interior decorations herself, buzzing around happily with the elf saleswoman guiding her through the options. The price was 1 top-grade magic crystal. I tossed one over without blinking. The elf said the house couldn't fit in a spatial ring and needed time to bond with its owner, so they'd deliver it. I gave my address, Lord Wizard Academy, Zone 7, Villa 66. She looked surprised, clearly hadn't expected a new student to be dropping this kind of money, but noted it down professionally. We finished our other shopping at the 3 major guilds. The Elf Guild handles magical plants, the Dragon Guild handles minerals, and the Human Alchemy Guild handles crafted goods like potions and weapons. Between the 3 of them, you can get almost anything supernatural. By 6:30, we ended up at a tavern for dinner. Aurora was drinking actual alcohol while I stuck with juice. She teased me about being a good baby. I shot back. Baby? You mean a 146-month-old baby? She nearly fell over laughing. Then she said something that caught me off guard. She told me I was a genuinely good person, that someone with talent just one step below the Emperor's would still be willing to invest in training a mid-tier talent like her. I'd never really thought about it that way. Then a line from my past life floated up. Only when you've received enough love do you stop being stingy about sharing it. With infinite crystals, I suppose generosity comes naturally. An old man's voice interrupted us. A towering 2-meter giant with muscles like an anime character asked to share our table. He looked like a real-life old garp. He said our conversation had drawn him in. He told us his story. He was a 6th-level Diamond Knight, 645 years old, with only mid-tier talent. He'd studied at a small territorial academy, never making it to the capital. Over 6 centuries, he'd watched talented knights soar through the skies on dragons while he scraped by. He refused to become a knockoff 7th-level knight by contracting some weak beast. Instead, he spent 600 years saving up enough for a round-trip teleportation pass to the Dragon Continent. Tomorrow, he was finally leaving to find a real dragon partner. His eyes shone with anticipation as he spoke. Then he apologized for getting emotional. 600 years of keeping this dream bottled up, and tonight was the first time he'd shared it with anyone. I raised my glass of juice. Congratulations on finding your youthful spirit again. To your dream. Cheers. Aurora lifted her wine. Good luck, sir. Cheers. The old man drained his massive cup in one gulp, stood, and bowed. This chance meeting. I'll remember it for the rest of my life. Then he turned and walked out of the tavern without looking back. After the old man left, Aurora called him her role model, same mid-tier talent as her, yet he'd climbed to 6th-level Diamond Knight. I corrected her. He has a talent stronger than most top-tier holders, persistence. 600 years of loneliness, and he never gave up. I asked about the cost of traveling to the Dragon Continent. Aurora explained that Academy students get free passes after 12 years, but buying one independently costs 3,000 high-grade crystals round trip. That doesn't sound like much to me, but Aurora reminded me that not everyone is rich. Knights don't produce anything, unlike wizards who can sell alchemical goods. A 6th-level knight from a small territorial academy, competing against countless stronger graduates from the capital's academy for jobs? 600 years of savings suddenly made painful sense. Back at the academy, I made a decision. Today had shown me my worldview was still too narrow. Until I became a first-level official wizard, I wasn't leaving campus again. Time to lay low for a few years. We headed to the administration building to register Aurora as my follower. The officer had us step into a detection array that scanned our holy domain contract. After 3 minutes, he came out shaking his head at Aurora. You really found yourself a good master. Only 4 contract terms, all harmless to the Lord Wizard. He was so surprised he asked me point-blank if I'd been coerced by General Derry. He even said a mere 7th-level knight couldn't threaten a Lord Wizard Academy student. I should speak freely. That warmed my heart. This academy truly is a safe haven. I assured him the contract was entirely voluntary. He registered Aurora, linked her information to my badge, and gave her a follower's badge. Then, as an apology for questioning us, he dropped a useful tip. The Lord Wizard Academy has high-level light element breathing techniques available. Aurora's eyes lit up. She'd been stuck using basic breathing methods because she'd never found one matching her rare light affinity. I asked the price for the information. He grinned. 1 high-grade crystal for the lead. I tossed it over before he finished the sentence. The light element breathing technique is with Linus, 9th floor of the library. Linus, the same guy who sold me the miracle array discs. I nodded at Aurora. I know him. I'll take you tomorrow. As we walked away, I heard the officer chuckling behind us. 1 sentence for 1 high-grade crystal. What a profit. At the dormitory entrance, Aurora was beaming. I'm really your maid now, I nodded, then asked if she wasn't curious about the light element breathing technique. Nia piped up too, clearly trying to angle for more magic crystals. Aurora just tilted her head and said, Why would I ask? You already promised to help me get it. That kind of trust felt genuinely nice. Then my smile vanished. Standing at my villa door holding a Sprite Castle house was the stunning woman in the red dress, my night class teacher. She was the delivery person from the Elf Guild. She asked me to open the door so she could set it up inside. Absolutely not. My courtyard has 100 Sprite incubating plants in it. I awkwardly changed the subject, shoved a high-grade crystal into her hand as payment, grabbed the castle house, and rushed inside with Aurora. The door closed behind us. She must have thought I was insane, but academy rules prevented her from barging in. Aurora teased me. Is she an ex-girlfriend you're hiding from? I flicked her forehead. Then I told her to look around the courtyard. This was my secret. She glanced around at the 100 potted plants and shrugged. So what? Then I pointed at Nia, who was happily munching on a top-grade magic crystal I'd just handed her. Aurora's brain caught up fast. Wait, those are all incubating sprites. Her voice was shaking. She quickly did the math. 100 pots times 1,000 crystals each equals 100,000 top-grade crystals. That's 10 billion low-grade crystals, or 10 trillion gold coins. I waved it off. I have enough money. Let's go set up the castle house. As I walked inside, Aurora stood there staring at my back. Now she understood why I'd been so calm when she first mentioned the Derry family sprite. I simply didn't need it. I had 100 coming. She looked up at the starry sky and whispered a prayer. Holy Domains will, thank you for your blessing. An hour later, freshly showered and finally wearing my custom shorts and t-shirt, I sat on the couch examining the Sprite Castle's holographic map. 10,000 square kilometers of internal space, 100 individual castles in the center, each with its own teleportation array connecting to surrounding farmland. Divided among 100 sprites, that's 1.5 million acres per sprite. More than enough for my academy years. Nia and Aurora came out of the bathroom wearing the custom shorts and t-shirts. Nia had fire dragon prints. Aurora had light dragon patterns on white. Aurora admitted they were comfortable, but said she'd never wear them outside. Too embarrassing. I told her they're just for home, no pressure. Then I showed them the Sprite Castles map. 100 castles, each with a teleportation array connecting to 1.5 million acres of land. Nia got excited and asked to try her abilities inside. She zipped into the castle house, activated the teleportation array with the crystal I'd placed inside, and appeared on an empty plot of land. Then she crossed her arms, glowed red, and began scattering seeds in every direction. The red light spread across a 10-kilometer radius, warm and gentle. The seeds burrowed into the soil on their own. I was impressed. She'd just been born yesterday, and she could already cover this much area. Give her some time, and she'd easily reach the full million-acre capacity. Then Nia used a second ability, something called an information domain. Another 10-kilometer red field expanded outward, and tiny red dots rose from each sprouting dragon blood ginseng seedling. The dots flew into her body. She was wrapped in red light for about 15 minutes before it faded. When she came back out, she was buzzing with excitement. So much cultivation data. Each red dot was information about a plant, which ones were growing well, which needed help, what each one required. With that data, she could gradually breed better and better seeds, pushing the plants past their natural limits. Aurora explained why this matters so much. Growing magical plants is incredibly difficult. Even common ones like night's flowers sometimes fail to sprout when planted by humans. But sprites skipped that problem entirely. Every single seedling Nia planted had already sprouted successfully. The hard part, getting things to grow at all, was simply gone. After that, it's just a matter of time and upgrading. Now I truly understood why Lord Wizards are the protagonists of this era. Everyone else is stuck struggling with step 1 while sprite owners leap right past it. And Nia's information-gathering ability isn't useless at all. It's like the magical equivalent of hybrid crop research. Better seeds mean better plants mean better resources. My past life's agricultural revolution proved exactly how important seed quality is. We chatted a bit more, then I called it a night. Nia flew into her castle, Aurora went to the guest room, and I headed to bed. Tomorrow, serious training begins again. The next morning, I slept until noon. When I woke up, I heard the sound of air being sliced apart in the courtyard. Aurora was swinging a greatsword taller than herself, dripping with sweat, clearly having trained for hours. Inside the sprite castle, Nia was carefully studying her dragon blood ginseng seedlings. So I'm the only lazy one here? I tossed Nia a top-grade crystal and told her to ask for more when she finished it. After lunch, I headed to Building 177 for the Holy Domain History class. I'd picked it only because it was the one starting soonest. History isn't exactly my passion. About a dozen students felt the same way, judging by the thin attendance. The teacher was an old man who radiated pure scholarly energy. 3 hours, no interruptions, questions only in the last 30 minutes. He started with the graduation keepsake that Knight and Wizard Academies hand out, the one about the Great Expansion era that I'd read back in Rose Territory. But then he went much deeper, and suddenly this, boring, history class became the most valuable lesson I'd attended. Here's what I learned about the world's true history. 30,000 years ago, the Holy Domain was a top-tier medium plane cluster. After the Great Expansion, 3 decades of conquering countless worlds, massive amounts of world essence poured into the Holy Domain. It jumped straight to an upper-tier plane cluster, even surpassing normal ones in raw quantity. But the quality couldn't keep up. It was like eating too much too fast, bloated but not strong. To stabilize itself, the worlds will absorb all its subsidiary planes, the elf plane, the dragon plane, and others, merging them into itself. That's how the dragon continent, elf continent, and myriad races continent were formed. Only the central Holy Domain continent, the original wizard homeland, existed before all this. Everything else came later. 7 8th-level rule class beings, forged through 30,000 years of war, finally stabilized the world completely, allowing it to slowly digest all that absorbed essence. Then, with every race devastated by millennia of warfare, the worlds will heard their prayers for recovery. The Age of Development began. 3 blessings were granted to the 3 races that contributed most: sprites for the elves, companion resources for dragons, and lord wizards for humans. The teacher's voice rose with genuine emotion. Be grateful you were born in this era. No blood, no fire. Only endless resources and peaceful order. Most students looked confused, but I understood completely. He'd either lived through the horrors of the old era or studied enough history to feel its weight. As the old Chinese saying goes, better a dog in peaceful times than a person in chaos. Lord Wizard Academy graduates won't receive a keepsake about the Great Expansion. Ours will commemorate the Age of Development instead, ending with, thus began the Holy Domain's blessed Age of Development. This wasn't just history. This was the truth of the world I live in. During the question period, students asked how big the Holy Domain world is. The teacher said there's no fixed number. The world is constantly growing as it digests absorbed world essences. 1 second you could be standing at the edge, the next you're deep inland. Someone asked why it's called the Myriad Races continent. The teacher explained 3 origins: races from subsidiary planes that got absorbed back into the world, races that already lived in the holy domain like humans, and races from conquered worlds that surrendered peacefully during the 30,000-year war. That blew everyone's minds. Neighbors they'd grown up with might not even be original residents. I didn't ask any questions this time. The opening part of the lecture had given me everything I needed, the true history of the world. After class, I headed straight to the library's 9th floor to see Linus. He was polishing his crystal ball when I walked in. I told him I had a follower with light element affinity who needed a matching breathing technique. He immediately started teasing me. Follower? Sounds more like a little girlfriend. My big customer's going to have a little customer soon. Then he tried selling me some kind of performance-enhancing potion. I told him I was 12. He insisted. I told him I didn't need it, and I was already plenty vigorous. The man has zero shame. I noticed he was charging 1 high-grade crystal for a potion that was probably worth far less. He cheerfully admitted that price-fixing associations only set minimum prices. Charging above that is perfectly legal. I'm not scamming anyone. I'm legally earning money they didn't know they could keep. Shameless, but technically correct. Then we got to business. A light element breathing technique. 3 top-grade crystals for a copy. I stepped backward. That was suspiciously cheap. Night breathing techniques are comprehensive systems covering every level. Unlike wizard meditation, where you can theoretically figure things out on your own, a complete high-level breathing technique should cost a fortune. Don't scam me. 3 crystals for a high-level light breathing technique? You'd have to be crazy to sell it, and I'd be crazy to buy it. Linus explained. It's incomplete. Not in the sense that it only covers a few levels. It actually goes all the way to 7th level. The problem is that at 7th level, it requires contracting a light dragon specifically. Light dragons are legendary creatures in dragon society, born with royal status even as hatchlings. They're incredibly proud. No knight has ever successfully contracted one. Even among wizards, only a handful have managed it, and only with partner contracts, not the symbiotic contracts knights need. So it's a complete technique that leads to a dead end at the most critical moment. No wonder it was cheap. I bought the light breathing technique for 3 crystals and also ended up buying that ridiculous potion from Linus for 1 high-grade crystal. Don't ask why. Let's just say I bought it, and it would be wasteful not to use it. Tasted decent, actually. 10 months flew by. With Aurora handling all the daily chores and errands, I didn't leave the villa once. No more classes, just pure, focused training. Aurora and Nia took care of everything while I sat in my room imprinting runes day after day. 7 days ago, I finished the last of the 1,200 runes for the 100 Blades array. Today was assembly day. Inside my mind sea, I guided all 1,200 runes down from above, fitting them together around the existing apprentice-level 10 Blades array in the combat half of my mind sea. When the last piece clicked into place, the array lit up, and the change was immediate. If the apprentice stage was a tiny spring trickling water, this was a full stream pouring magical energy into my mind sea, strengthening it constantly and boosting my spiritual power as a side effect. Outside, Aurora and Nia watched golden magical particles materialize from thin air and flood into my body. Aurora confirmed this was the phenomenon of a wizard advancing. She noted that only someone with top-tier elemental affinity would produce this much visible energy. Nia chimed in that she'd grown too. After 10 months of eating top-grade crystals, her domain had expanded to 1.2 million acres. Then she started bragging about herself instead of me, and Aurora scolded her for it. When I opened my eyes 15 minutes later, I felt the difference instantly. My body was significantly stronger, but the real change was inside. The 100 Blades array was ready to deploy at a thought. 1 finger snap, and everything within 100 meters would be annihilated. Compared to my apprentice self, the gap was absurd. I could crush 1,000 copies of my old self without breaking a sweat. Nia told me Aurora had rushed downstairs to train the moment she saw me break through. She said she doesn't want to fall behind you. That was very her. The light element breathing technique I'd gotten her 10 months ago fit her perfectly. She'd restarted her entire trainee stage training with it and already reached the advanced trainee level, matching the speed of someone with high-tier physical talent, even though hers is only mid-tier. In about a month, she'd be a first-level Black Iron Knight. I was now an official first-level Lord Wizard. 22 months into my academy life. My 3-year exam was practically guaranteed at this point. I sat down and looked at my badge. 1 year and 2 months. That's how long it took me to become a first-level official Lord Wizard. My lifespan just jumped to 1,000 years. The first real step toward immortality. I imprinted my spiritual energy onto the badge, and it activated fully. The Holy Domain Network is basically this world's internet. Forums, tools, teleportation controls, everything. My profile showed up with my name, talent, profession, and level. I could also see Aurora's follower information, though hers hadn't updated yet since she hadn't reached first level. The Academy sent me a congratulations message. I noticed the prefix, Myriad Races Continent, Lord Wizard Academy. So there must be academies on the other continents too. Then I pulled out the communication token the Marquis had given me and linked it to my badge. A preset message popped up. Little Wayne, congratulations on becoming an official wizard. Big sister is proud of you. Seconds later, a video call came in. I answered, and her full holographic projection appeared in my living room, armor and all. It was spiritual energy projection, she explained. We chatted briefly. She was pleased with my speed and told me she'd be coming to the capital in about 7 months for the next recruitment cycle. We'd meet then. She noticed Nia on my shoulder and asked about her. I told her it was General Derry's gift, a dragon blood ginseng sprite, 6th level cap. She approved. After she disconnected, I exhaled with relief. When I realized the call was a spiritual energy projection, I'd gotten nervous. My courtyard full of 100 incubating sprite plants was right outside. Even though she's been good to me, the fewer people who know my secrets, the better. That afternoon, Aurora, Nia, and I had a proper celebration dinner. That night in bed, I reminded myself, the road to immortality is long. Stay humble, stay calm. The next morning, I went to class, 3 Great Races Relations. The teacher, a young man named Riley, did something unusual. He introduced himself. The room buzzed with confusion since previous teachers never bothered. He explained it was because one student had already reached first-level official wizard status, making them a formal member of the Lord Wizard Academy. He was showing respect to that person. The classroom erupted in whispers. Who? After only a year, everyone started looking around. I just sat quietly by the window. The classroom got noisy with everyone wondering who the first-level wizard was. The teacher, Riley, silenced the room instantly with a silence array. Nobody could make a sound. I noticed it didn't affect me at all. Apprentice-level arrays have 0 effect on a first-level wizard. Riley caught my eye and smiled. He explained the 3 great races, dragons, elves, and humans, and their relationship across 3 stages. Before the Great Expansion, they were enemies who killed each other regularly. During the 30,000-year war, they became battlefield allies fighting side by side. After the war, they became deeply interconnected. None can survive without the others. The logic is simple. Elves produce magical plants and need crystals and equipment. Dragons produce minerals and need potions. Humans have alchemy, which turns raw materials into refined products both races need. It's a perfect closed loop. The Holy Domains will designed it this way deliberately after the war, rewarding the 3 races that contributed most. The most important takeaway: never harm or antagonize elves or dragons. It's not just humans who would come after you. The entire world would. Dragons carry this knowledge in their bloodline from birth. Elves teach it in their academies to their entire race. Humans only teach it to supernatural practitioners, but enforce it even more strictly. During the question period, Riley looked directly at me. I asked about the difference between human-dragon and human-elf relationships. He explained that while humans contract dragons, the equivalent with elves is sprites. When a sprite's master dies, the sprite gets teleported back to the elf continent and never bonds with anyone again. Sprites are actually part of the elf race, a branch created by the world's will from elves and their sacred tree. After class, Riley walked out with me and reintroduced himself, 6th-year student. I learned that the first 3 years all count as first year. After passing the 3-year exam, you become a real second year. Each year after that advances your grade by 1. I asked him directly why he was being so friendly to me. Riley answered matter-of-factly, because you're a first-level official wizard. In this academy, Only official wizards are considered real members. He added that my name had been at the top of the Academy forum since enrollment day, thanks to my double top-tier talent. Talent really is the hardest currency in this world. I realized Riley was connected to Dean Leon. He was Wright's older brother, or more precisely, the eldest son of the main family line. We exchanged communication contacts through our badges and parted ways. I headed to the library. On the second floor, I picked up a travel journal about the elf continent and read it cover to cover. The most fascinating parts were about two 8th-level rule beings, the Elf Empress, whom the author never met, and the life-sacred tree. The tree is rooted in the center of the elf continent, so impossibly tall you can see it from the continent's edge. It can heal anything, even soul damage, and it's a sentient being. I immediately wondered, if I could get seeds from a life-sacred tree, could I grow one and birth a sprite from it? That would mean mass-producing life-healing trees. Just a theory for now, but worth remembering. Then I turned to my real purpose, choosing 2 more first-level array diagrams to complete my wizard training at this level. I narrowed it down to 3 candidates and spent a long time agonizing. The Gold Nurturing Array, upgraded version of my Apprentice Level 1, essential for expanding my Mindsea faster. The Teleportation Array, absolutely necessary for any future territory. Mobility is everything when managing a vast domain. The Gold Shield Array, personal protection. I could only pick 2. I went with the Gold Nurturing Array and the Teleportation Array. Mindsea expansion needs to start early since I'll face space shortages later. And teleportation is non-negotiable for a Lord Wizard's territory. As for defense, the best defense is offense. And with teleportation, I can always escape. I'm not going to slow my advancement for a single first-level array. At the checkout desk, the same senior student from before was shocked to see me back already. It hasn't even been a year, and you're already first level? I said it was luck. She laughed. There's no luck on the path to truth. The 2 array diagrams cost 200 contribution points, or 2 high-grade crystals. The travel journal was just 1 low-grade crystal. Problem was, the lowest quality crystal I own is high-grade. I couldn't exactly explain that, so I paid the arrays with 2 high-grade crystals and asked her to swipe the Marquis's bank card for the journal. She burst out laughing. You toss around high-grade crystals like nothing, but use a bank card for 1 low-grade crystal. I ignored the teasing. What was I supposed to say? That I literally don't own anything cheaper than a high-grade crystal. That would be too ridiculous. She registered everything to my badge with the usual warning about not sharing array diagrams, and I left with my 3 books. Over dinner, I told Aurora and Nia about my day. Aurora was surprised to learn that only first-level official wizards count as real Academy members. She admitted her knowledge of the Lord Wizard Academy's inner workings was limited. She grew up in the capital and knew about city life and sprites, but the Academy's rules were a closed world to her. Then Aurora brought up something her parents had mentioned. They wanted all 3 of her brothers to follow me. She emphasized they all have top-tier physical talent. I raised an eyebrow. Your family really knows how to breed. 3 top-tier physical talents? So what happened to you? A mutation? She didn't know whether to laugh or cry. She explained that her father has fire element talent, which evolved into a variant called Flame Element, after contracting a flame dragon. Her mother has wood element talent. All 3 brothers inherited fire element. But Aurora got light element, which doesn't clash with her parents' elements, but doesn't synergize either. During pregnancy, parents can take elemental potions to boost a baby's talent, but it only works if the child inherits a matching element. Since Aurora's was different, the investment didn't help her. I asked if talent could be artificially cultivated. The answer was yes and no. You can boost it during pregnancy with the right potions, but you can't control which element the child gets. If you could reliably manufacture talent, every lord would be producing armies of geniuses. I asked why her brothers would choose me over other recruiters. Aurora said other options either wanted to use their father's connections or couldn't provide top-tier resources. With me, the resources are abundant and my interest in the family is genuine, not political. I agreed to accept them. I need people I can trust for errands like purchasing supplies and gathering information. 3 loyal, top-tier talents connected to Aurora are ideal. Aurora introduced them. Andrew, 21, top-tier physical plus high-tier fire, 3rd level Silver Knight, 9th-year student. Wiggins, 19, Top tier physical plus mid-tier fire, 2nd level bronze knight, 7th year. Naruto, 12, top tier physical plus mid-tier fire, 1st level black iron knight, 2nd year. I told her they could bring holy domain contracts whenever ready, but I didn't have room in the villa for them yet. Aurora laughed. They'd obviously stay at the Knight Academy until graduation. They wouldn't physically join me full-time until after they finished school. She explained the full academy system, 25 years total. 12 years of campus study, 6 years on the Dragon Continent, 6 years on the Elf Continent, then 1 final year back for graduation and assignment. All 3 academies follow this schedule. I asked whether her older brothers graduating before me would be a problem. She said no. Lord Wizards are mandatory deployed upon graduation since they lead the expansion effort. But Knights and Wizards who've chosen a Lord Wizard Master simply wait until their Master graduates, then deploy together. So even if Andrew finishes years before me, he'll just wait. I asked Aurora whether the system had problems with older followers bullying younger Lord Wizards, or people deliberately delaying graduation. She said no. 25 years is nothing compared to lifespans measured in centuries, and holy domain contracts prevent any follower from harming their lord. Once a Lord Wizard grows powerful, anyone who crossed them would deeply regret it. I asked if there were any dark forces or enemies in the holy domain. Aurora said no large-scale threats exist. The Temple and Truth Tower maintain order everywhere. Small incidents like rogue wizards attacking people in remote territories get squashed quickly. This was great news for me. In a stable, orderly world, my cheat ability can shine without anyone trying to rob me the moment I flash a crystal. I told Aurora to visit her family and have her brothers bring holy domain contracts. Her father could write the terms, same deal as hers, top-tier resources across the board. Then I suddenly remembered something from my first day. The Academy offers dragon eggs for contribution points. I needed to check that out. Aurora asked why I was thinking about dragons. I explained that her oldest brother Andrew only had 3 years left before his 6-year Dragon Continent trip. If I could just buy a dragon egg directly, he could skip that entire trip and spend those 6 years training instead. With good resources and top-tier talent, all 3 brothers could reach 6th level Diamond Knight within 30 years. I don't want to start building my territory without any heavy hitters watching my back. Plus, I want a dragon of my own. Ever since riding the Marquis's Ice Dragon on Awakening Day, I've been determined to have my own magnificent beast. When I mentioned the Marquis, Aurora nearly lost her mind. The Rose Marquis? One of the Southern Twin Stars. Apparently, the Marquis and someone called the Golden Dragon Princess are the 2 most brilliant women to come out of the Lord Wizard Academy in the past century. 20 years ago, when the Marquis was promoted to Marquis rank, the entire capital celebrated. Rose petals filled the sky, and her name hung above the city in lights for 7 full days. Aurora begged me to introduce her. I told her no problem. The Marquis was coming to the capital in September for recruitment season. We'd all meet then. Aurora's eyes practically sparkled. That evening, I read a travel journal about the Dragon Continent. Dragons at 7th level legendary status can take human form and build their own civilizations. The Dragon Continent has a single massive power, the Dragon Empire, and the Dragon Commerce Guild exists mainly to sell minerals and buy potions, magical plants, and shiny things dragons love collecting. The continent is also called the Treasure Continent, which tells you everything about how wealthy dragons are. They literally generate resources just by living somewhere. I decided on tomorrow's plan. Attend the Dragon Information Basics class, then check the contribution point exchange for dragon eggs. Dragons are basically walking resource mines, just like sprites. If I can get some eggs, my future territory will be unstoppable. After planning, I picked up my 2 new array diagrams and started studying. Training never stops. The next afternoon, I attended the Dragon Information Basics class. The classroom was packed, all 300 seats filled, with latecomers turned away. No surprise there. Dragons mean resources and prestige. Every young wizard or knight dreams of having one. An elderly wizard in white robes walked in, noticed me, and gave a respectful nod before starting. 5 hours total. 3 hours on dragon basics, 1 hour on dragon-related topics, 1 hour for questions. First, dragon classification. There are 3 tiers. Lower dragons are material dragons. Iron, copper, silver, gold dragons. They're the weakest category. Middle dragons are elemental dragons, the 5 basic elements of gold, wood, water, fire, and earth. Knights need at least a middle-tier dragon contract to earn the title Holy Dragon Knight. Upper dragons are rare, powerful types: ice, space, light, darkness dragons. Each one represents a fundamental rule of the world. Then there are variants. General Derry's Flame Dragon is a fire element variant strong enough to rival upper dragons. A copper dragon could mutate into a secret copper dragon, producing superior secret copper or instead of regular copper. Variants can punch above their class. Dragon levels mirror human levels, 9 total. Levels 1 through 3 are the hatchling stage. 4 through 6 are adult. At level 7, a dragon fully masters its elemental power and becomes a legendary dragon. Level 8 means they've grasped elemental rules, like the light rule dragon contracted by the temple's leader, an 8th level light rule knight named Arthur. Nobody has reached level 9 yet. The second section covered dragon resources. Dragons are living elemental energy collectors. Their presence naturally generates 3 types of resources: mineral veins matching their element, magic crystals, and magical plants that grow from their bodily fluids like blood and saliva. The first 2 are the main products. Dragons don't even need crystals to train. They absorb ambient magical energy with every breath. Crystals are just a byproduct of their massive energy output. During questions, I asked 3 things. First, are there dragons above the upper tier? The teacher said no. Each upper dragon represents a world rule: light, darkness, earth, and so on. You can match them, but not surpass them. There's nothing recorded beyond that. Second, do dragons need magic crystals for training? No, they're essentially walking energy-gathering arrays. Crystals are their waste products, not their fuel. Third, what's the dragon mother? She's a dragon born with all 5 basic elements, which is why she earned the title. She's a 5-element dragon who has mastered elemental rules, one of the most powerful beings in the world. This class was incredibly valuable. Now I understood exactly why dragons are walking treasure mines, and I was more determined than ever to get some dragon eggs from the Academy's contribution point exchange. Back at the villa, Nia greeted me excitedly. She'd advanced to 2nd-level sprite. Her abilities hadn't changed, but they'd gotten stronger. She could now manage 3 million acres of dragon blood ginseng, and the range would keep growing as she ate more crystals. For a creature barely a year old, that's incredible output. Aurora had visited her family that day. The answer was an enthusiastic yes. All 3 brothers would come tomorrow with Holy Domain contracts. The next morning, 3 knocks on the door. Aurora opened it, and there they were, 3 massive guys who made the doorway look small. She brought them straight upstairs where I was meditating on the couch. Nia was on her tiny sofa drinking juice from a miniature cup. I looked at the 3 brothers and once again felt personally attacked by their size. These are supposed to be my peers. They make me look like a stick figure. I told them to sit wherever they wanted. They squeezed onto the couch and immediately started arguing about whose, but was too big. Aurora said one word: brothers, and all 3 went silent like scared quails. 3 hulking warriors tamed by their little sister. Comedy gold. Aurora told them to take out the contracts. Each one reached into their fancy clothes and pulled out a scroll. I opened them and my jaw dropped. The pages were covered in dense, tiny writing with an absurd number of terms. It looked less like a follower's contract and more like a slave indenture. I tossed all 3 scrolls aside without reading further. These don't count. You 3 are going to be my core people. Sign the same contract as Aurora. Simple, fair, for terms. The brothers immediately broke into grins. See? I told you Wayne wouldn't agree to father's crazy terms. They started praising me in the most clumsy way possible, talking over each other. I asked Aurora for blank contract scrolls. She didn't have any. The brothers didn't either. I rubbed my forehead. General Derry had genuinely intended for his sons to sign that ridiculous thing. There were no backup scrolls because he never planned for a different option. I tossed Aurora a high-grade crystal and told one of them to go buy some blank scrolls. Get extras. We'll need them later. Then I told them to set out breakfast while I took a bath, but made sure Aurora understood my hint. Don't let the brothers go downstairs to the courtyard before the contracts are signed. Can't have them seeing 100 sprite incubating plants. Andrew left to buy the scrolls. From the bathroom, I could hear the other two brothers complaining to Aurora about her luxurious lifestyle. Unlimited elemental minerals, dragon tooth rice, the works. Naruto was especially dramatic. Sister, we came from the same factory. How could you forget your twin brother? The second brother told him that was nonsense, and Naruto fired back. Even Mother's potions come in batches. Are you saying her 5th level brews are the same as her 6th level ones? I soaked in the tub, grinning. These guys are idiots, but they're my kind of idiots. After the 3 contracts burned away, I told Aurora to brief her brothers on everything. Resource supply, the courtyard's secret, all of it. Then they'd register as followers and check out the Dragon Egg exchange. Aurora explained the deal to them. Unlimited training resources matching their fire element. Elemental or blood energy potions, dragon tooth rice. Take as much as you can absorb, but no reselling. Then she told them about the 100 sprite plants incubating in my courtyard. In 2 years, I'd have 100 sprites. The 3 brothers looked at each other with pure joy in their eyes. Andrew jumped to his feet and swore loyalty on the Dairy family name. The other 2 immediately followed. Looking at 3 giant warriors pledging themselves to me, I couldn't help thinking of Cao Cao with his bodyguards Dian Wei and Su Chu. Except I had 3 of them. I gave them the carrot and the stick. You're my core team. Don't betray me, don't waver. You don't want to know what happens when you cross a wealthy Lord Wizard with top-tier talent. They swore again, louder this time. I asked if they needed new breathing techniques. They said no. They used their father's fire element method, which fits perfectly. Then I realized Aurora had never shown her light breathing technique to her father for review. She said she wouldn't show my property to anyone without permission, even her own father. I smacked my forehead. You'd really just fumble through it alone forever? Go home and let your father check it. He's a 7th level Holy Dragon Knight. Use that resource. After registering the brothers as followers, we headed to the contribution building. 12th floor, behind a door labeled Contribution Point Exchange. An old man was waiting inside. He already knew who I was. Wayne, talent just 1 step below the Emperor's. I've been wondering when you'd show up. Most new students rush here immediately for dragon eggs and sprites. You actually waited over a year. I got straight to business. How do contribution points work? 2 ways to earn them. Complete academy missions or exchange top-grade magic crystals. 1 crystal equals 10,000 points. Nothing else accepted. He led us through a side door into a massive space-expanded chamber. Below the viewing platform, hundreds of enormous eggs, each as tall as a person, sat in individual nests, glowing in every color imaginable. These are all dragon eggs, I asked. Every single one. Only an institution like this academy has the connections to collect this many, working with dragon clans across continents. I looked at the collection and said, that's it. He nearly blew a gasket. That's IT. Hundreds of dragon eggs collected through countless efforts, and you say that's it? I moved on. How much per egg? 1 million contribution points. Quick math. 1 million points divided by 10,000 per crystal equals 100 top-grade crystals per egg. That's only a tenth of what it costs to incubate 1 sprite. For a walking resource mine that generates minerals, crystals, and magical plants just by existing, that's practically free. For me, anyway. I looked at my group and said casually, I'll take all the eggs. Exchange them for me. The old man shot me a look. You think dragon eggs grow on trees? The academy spent enormous effort collecting these to attract lords from across the empire. We can't just hand them all to 1 student. I grinned and said, fine. How about 200 eggs to start? I want to build a Dragon Knight formation. Then I waved my hand and dumped 20,000 fist-sized top-grade unattributed magic crystals onto the floor. The old man's jaw dropped. Where did you get this many? And they're all unattributed. Those are relics from the previous era. I rubbed my chin, and just when he thought I'd explain, I said, you're not planning to rob me, are you? He nearly choked. You think too little of the Truth Tower's surveillance, and too little of my desire to keep living. Then he revealed something important. Most of these eggs were lower-tier dragons, iron, copper, silver types. The academy can't easily collect middle and upper-tier eggs because ambitious dragons stay on the dragon continent waiting for worthy partners. He asked if I knew how the Marquis got her upper-tier ice dragon. I didn't. Turns out, she bred it. Her water dragon and variant frost dragon produced the ice dragon as offspring. That's how you get upper-tier dragons outside the dragon continent. He told me the academy had exactly 36 middle and upper tier eggs, 30 middle tier and 6 upper tier. I said, I'll take all 36. For the lower tier eggs, I wanted 100 but agreed to come back for them later. The old man refused to let me clean out the entire stock. Other lords need eggs too in future years. We compromised. He collected 3,600 top-grade crystals from my pile, registered the contribution points to my badge, and then floated all 36 eggs up to our platform. He introduced the 6 upper-tier eggs first: Darkness Dragon, Death Dragon, Soul Dragon, Devouring Dragon, Cursed Dragon, and Undead Dragon. These were the Academy's entire upper-tier collection. I also learned something crucial about dragons and wizards versus knights. Knights who form symbiotic contracts can break through to 8th level together with their dragon, like how Knight Commander Arthur reached 8th level Rule Knight and brought his light dragon along. But wizards rarely form symbiotic bonds with dragons. For most wizards, dragons are just resource generators. That's why dragons actually prefer knights over wizards, and why upper-tier dragon eggs are so scarce outside the dragon continent. Good thing I have high-tier physical talent on top of being a lord wizard. When I eventually visit the dragon continent, my dual nature should attract a dragon that truly fits me. I told the old man to put my remaining crystals away. He grumbled, "Get those out of my sight. They're making me depressed." I couldn't help laughing. Is there anything better than being so rich it annoys other people? Looking at those 6 upper-tier eggs glowing with dark energy, I couldn't help but twitch. Darkness Dragon, Death Dragon, Soul Dragon, Devouring Dragon, Cursed Dragon, Undead Dragon. Just the names told you these weren't friendly creatures. The old man explained they'd been expelled from the dragon continent, not because of their elements, but because their parents had committed unforgivable acts. The dragon clans auctioned off the eggs just to get them out of sight. Still, he insisted they were genuinely powerful and worth raising. I asked about the soul dragon. Do knights even awaken spiritual element talent? He laughed and said spirit dragons are most compatible with wizards, not knights. Rare, but real. The 30 middle-tier eggs broke down as 5 each of gold, wood, water, fire, and earth element dragons, plus 5 variants: 2 flame dragons, 2 frost dragons, and 1 swamp dragon. The variants can rival upper-tier dragons. He told me not to waste them. He deducted my contribution points, then released the Academy's sealing and nurturing arrays from all 36 eggs. They'll hatch within 3 months. Be ready. When I asked about storage containers, he rolled his eyes. Andrew leaned over and explained, the Academy deliberately doesn't provide containers. They publish an announcement when someone exchanges dragon eggs, and the student is expected to carry them openly through campus. It's basically free advertising. Other students see the eggs, realize a promising Lord Wizard has appeared, and start considering becoming followers. Apparently, a senior did this 3 years ago and attracted a flood of recruits. I asked one last question. Why do upper-tier eggs cost the same contribution points as lower-tier ones? The old man said proudly, that's a privilege of attending the Central Academy. Only we can afford to offer this. As a member of the Lord Wizard Academy, you should feel proud. I turned and bowed. I do. We headed to the exit platform with 36 massive eggs floating around us. Before leaving, I looked at the Dairy brothers. Want dragon eggs? Their eyes practically caught fire. I told them, you 3 train your father's fire element breathing technique, and there are 2 flame dragon eggs, perfect matches. Whoever reaches 4th level Gold Knight first gets 1. The runner-up gets the 2nd. The 3rd brother either picks a regular fire dragon egg or waits for the dragon continent trip. The 3 of them immediately started trash-talking each other about who'd break through first. Classic. I turned to Aurora. For you and me, a light dragon for you and a gold element variant for me. We'll both have to wait until the dragon continent trip. Nothing here matches us well enough. She nodded and thanked me. I waved it off. As we flew toward the teleportation corridor with 36 dragon eggs orbiting around us, I noticed more and more students gathering below, staring up. Meanwhile, the Academy forum posted an announcement. Congratulations to student Wayne for exchanging 36 dragon eggs, 6 upper tier, 30 middle tier, including 5 variants. Someone even snapped a photo of me flying through the sky, surrounded by eggs. It went viral across all 3 academies instantly. So much for laying low. That evening, I was eating dinner with Nia surrounded by 36 dragon eggs when my badge lit up. The Marquis was calling. I accepted, and her holographic projection appeared in my living room, wearing a wine-red silk robe with rose patterns. She saw the eggs piled around me and gasped. The Academy announcement really was you. I couldn't help teasing her. It was rare to see the always cool Rose Marquis genuinely surprised. Bad move. Her eyes immediately flashed with danger. Getting brave, are we? Let's see if you're still this bold when we meet face to face. I broke into a cold sweat, remembering we'd be meeting in a few months. I switched to full flattery mode instantly. She laughed and let it go. She assumed my parents' inheritance funded the eggs. Without overthinking it, I asked, "Do you need any, big sister?" It came out naturally, like asking someone if they've eaten. In my mind, she's my angel investor. Compared to everything she's given me, dragon eggs are nothing. But her expression went completely flat. She poked my forehead with her projected finger and said quietly, "You think too narrowly of me, little Wayne." Then she reminded me of what she'd told me back in Rose territory. Don't hide yourself. This era is stable and safe. Even black wizards can't target native humans. She said she'd noticed my excessive caution from the very first day we met. How different I was from other children. She'd originally thought it was just a form of talent, but now she saw it was something deeper. An overly cautious little Wayne isn't cute at all. Then she cut the connection. I sat there wanting to cry. I genuinely wasn't testing her. I was just offering, the same way Chinese people reflexively ask, "Have you eaten?" when they see someone. She's my benefactor. Of course I'd share. I frantically messaged her. "Big sister, are you angry?" After an agonizing wait, she replied, "Not angry. But watch what you say, and when you say it next time." I exhaled so hard I nearly collapsed. Losing my angel investor over a misunderstanding would have been devastating. Not that I need her money, but free stuff is free stuff, and that never gets old. Meanwhile, at the Dairy household, General Dairy reviewed Aurora's light breathing technique and confirmed it was solid, the only flaw being the light dragon requirement, which he said barely mattered given my obvious wealth. Aurora then handed him a confidentiality contract to sign. He grumbled, "You eat my food, then make me sign a gag order? This is how you thank your father?" But he signed it anyway. Then he looked at his 3 sons and said with a touch of envy, "You lucky brats. At minimum, you'll get middle-tier dragons handed to you. When I was your age, I had nothing. Now train hard, or I'll show you what fatherly love really means." The 3 brothers were already grinning like idiots, dreaming about the dragon eggs and top-tier resources waiting for them back at the academy. A month passed. I spent it deep in training, ignoring all the buzz about the dragon eggs. My gold nurturing array progress hit 150 runes out of 1,300. Since becoming a first-level wizard, my imprinting speed increased by half. At this rate, I'd finish by December. 3 of the water dragon eggs had already hatched. I visited the Secret Realm house, a portable pocket dimension Aurora bought last month, where she and Nia were feeding the blue hatchlings. Each one was barely a meter long, but they were already breathing water element energy like tiny fire hoses. Being living magical energy bodies, ambient magic surged around them like ocean waves from the moment they were born. I told Aurora to keep the hatchlings away from the 100 sprite plants incubating nearby. I'd set up protective arrays around them. After that, I headed to class. Walking through the academy was still annoying. People kept recognizing me and trying to chat. I picked a less popular course this time, Holy Domain Power Structure. I wanted to understand why the Truth Tower and Temple have such absolute authority, enough to make even a contribution exchange officer afraid to steal, and enough for the Marquis to call my caution excessive. The teacher was terrifying. An old man in black wizard robes with a scar running from his face down past his collar, as if he'd been split in half once. His energy felt cold and dangerous. He warned us that anyone who made noise during his lecture would get sealed with an array. 6 months of no training. He sounded like he was hoping someone would test him. He broke the power structure into 3 tiers. First tier, the only one, the Holy Domain Council. Born from the Great Expansion era, it once gathered every 7th-level powerhouse in the world. Now it's quieter, but far more terrifying. 7 8th-level rule class beings sit on it. Every meeting they hold shapes the direction of the entire world. Second tier, 4 organizations forming the first echelon. The Truth Tower, governing all wizards. The temple, governing all knights. The elf empire, controlling the entire elf continent. And the dragon empire, controlling the dragon continent. The three major commerce guilds, elf, dragon, and human alchemy, are just extensions of these four powers, so they don't get separate listings. Third tier, everything else. The teacher literally just said, other forces, and stopped. That was it. If you're not in the first echelon, you're lumped into other. The whole class nearly choked. I actually threw my back out from the sheer audacity of that classification. The old man cackled at our reactions like a villain enjoying his prank. Your mental fortitude really doesn't match your talent. The old man rattled off the 7/8 level rule beings who sit atop the world. The elf empire has two, Empress Vivian and the life sacred tree. The dragon empire has two, the elemental dragon Mother Daenerys and the light dragon Wanfu. The temple has one, Knight Commander Arthur. And the truth tower is co-managed by two, water wizard Atox and undead black wizard Latin. These seven form the Holy Domain Council, and their existence is why the world stays orderly. Nobody below 8th level dares challenge the system. During the 10-minute question period, I raised my hand fast and asked three things. First, can the current peaceful order truly not be broken? Answer: no, it can't. Not with the Holy Domain Network monitoring everything, plus the Temple and Truth Tower enforcing rules. But if you reach 8th level rule yourself and can match the other 7, then you are the rules. Second, where does the Atlantis Empire rank? In the grand picture, it's just other. The Central Academies belong to the Truth Tower and Temple, not the Empire. Don't confuse Academy resources with Imperial power. Third, can anyone still rise to the first echelon? The old man gave me a knowing look that gave me chills. He said the current emperor has the same ambition. If the emperor unifies the myriad races continent and reaches 8th level rule, then yes, it becomes possible. The biggest takeaway for me was confirming that this era's order is genuinely stable and fair. The path upward isn't locked behind bloodlines or fixed hierarchies. Talent, effort, and wisdom can take you to the top. This is a world of real opportunity. Sitting by a quiet lake afterward, I told myself, time to be bolder. That evening on my balcony, I pulled up my infinite inventory. Since reaching first level wizard, I'd gained a third slot, but I still hadn't decided what to put in it. What I really wanted was infinite lifespan, but lifespan isn't a tangible thing I can grab and store. There's no physical form for it, not even a semi-physical one like spiritual power. Then I thought about the black wizard teacher from today. Black wizards deal with curses, undead magic, and death. They probably know more about life force than anyone. If life force has some concrete manifestation, their records would have it. I'm in no rush. I've got 1,000 years of lifespan, but it's worth investigating when the chance comes. As for putting something else in the slot, honestly, I couldn't think of anything I needed. Money buys everything. I have infinite crystals, and infinite spiritual power covers my training. It's a nice problem to have. I closed the inventory and went back to reading my dragon encyclopedia. I was on the Soul Dragon page. Upper tier, spiritual element, born with vast mental power. The entry warned, don't underestimate it, or you may no longer be yourself. I nodded with satisfaction. I've got one of those eggs. Once it hatches and grows up, it'll be one of my greatest assets. 3 days later, Senior Riley messaged me about a gathering at Cloud Sea Peak in the capital's North District, a social event for students from all 3 academies. The peak is the tallest mountain in the capital, so high that the summit pierces through the clouds. At sunset, you can see an endless sea of fire-colored clouds stretching to the horizon. Aurora encouraged me to go. She was right. I'd been holed up training and needed a break. Now that I knew the world's order was stable, there was no reason to keep hiding. I told her to invite her brothers too. At the Dairy household, Naruto excitedly announced the invitation. But their mother overheard and smacked all 3 on the back of the head. Your sister is trying to build a relationship with Wayne, and you want to tag along as 3 giant light bulbs? Get lost. The brothers fled the house at top speed. Their mother looked at her hand afterward and muttered, no wonder Dairy likes doing that. The feel is actually quite nice. Poor brothers, losing intelligence points one smack at a time. So it was just me, Aurora, and Nia heading out that afternoon. We took a hovering car to the mountain's base. A massive stone gate read, Cloud Sea Peak, with an endless white jade staircase winding upward. Trainee knights were climbing up and down for exercise. Those people are insane, pure muscleheads. We headed for the cable car instead. Just as I was buying tickets, a familiar voice hit me from behind like a wall of heat. We meet again. Rude little boy. You wouldn't mind buying your teacher a ticket, would you? I didn't even need to turn around. Only one person leaves that kind of impression after just 2 meetings. The stunning woman in the fiery red dress. My night class teacher. I turned with my best smile. Of course not. It's my honor to ride with you. She flashed that gorgeous but terrifyingly dangerous smile of hers. I quickly looked away and bought 4 tickets. As we walked toward the cable car, she suddenly said, "Your Honor? I don't believe that." My body froze for a split second. She was still hung up on what happened at my villa door when I refused to let her inside. Thankfully, Aurora saved me. "Young master, the cable car is here. Get the tickets out." I dove into the cable car like it was a bomb shelter. Nia, sitting on my shoulder, asked innocently, "Master, why are you so scared?" "I'm not scared. Don't slander me. Just look at that dangerous smile on her face. Isn't that terrifying? What a waste of a beautiful face." Nia tilted her little head. "But master, if you're not scared, why did your body freeze up twice?" "I'm sitting on your shoulder." I felt it. Before I could defend myself, that voice came from behind us. "It seems your sprite is much more honest than you are. Wouldn't you agree?" Observant but rude little boy. The stunning woman, Sophia, stepped into the cable car with Aurora. I tried to joke my way out of the earlier embarrassment. "What if I said a black wizard controlled me into saying those things?" She shot back without blinking. "So you're trying to frame black wizards under the Holy Domain surveillance network?" Aurora burst out laughing and couldn't stop. I covered my face in shame. Sophia formally introduced herself, a 6th-year Knight Academy student. I asked if she was an elf. She said yes, with a flat, "Correct." That killed the conversation dead. Then she dropped a bomb. "You refused to let me into your villa because of the magical plants incubating sprites in your courtyard, right?" My heart rate spiked, but I wasn't afraid. I knew this era was safe. I asked how she figured it out. Her reasoning was airtight. She'd been my night class teacher, a one-on-one session that made me memorable. Then she delivered my sprite house and saw all those different plant varieties through the gate. Normal Lord Wizards don't grow that many types. After my 36 dragon egg exchange proved I had absurd wealth, the pieces clicked together. My reaction just now confirmed her guess. I was annoyed at myself for falling into her verbal trap. But honestly, I'm only about 31 mentally across 2 lives, and both were spent as teenagers. I'm not some cunning old fox. This experience taught me I need to work on emotional control alongside my wizard training. I told her sincerely, "You've taught me another lesson." "So what's your purpose?" she scoffed. "Purpose? I just wanted to know why you rejected me at your door." "Is that not enough? That was it? All that detective work over being turned away at a door?" Women's minds truly are unfathomable. The ancestors weren't wrong about that. I turned to look out the window, trying to ignore her. She asked if I was angry. I lost my composure and snapped. "I take back what I said about your face being wasted. Your personality absolutely matches it." She just smiled. "You have great taste." I tried changing the subject. "Are you here for the gathering too?" She looked at me strangely. "Nobody told you?" "I'm one of the 3 organizers." Then she dangled bait. "Don't you want to know what the gathering is really for?" I tried so hard not to respond. My brain said stay quiet. My mouth said, "What's it for?" She pounced like a cat who caught a mouse. "Oh, wasn't a certain little boy just ignoring me?" She told me the gathering's real purpose was to select followers for herself. "What?" I blurted out, and fell right into another trap. She looked at me with that teasing gaze. Oh dear, the little boy fell for it again. I completely lost it. "Sophia, you terrible woman. One day I will show you what it means to be a proper teacher." I made a solemn vow to myself. From now on, if I ever see Sophia coming, I'm turning the other way. This woman could smile sweetly while destroying you emotionally. In my old life, we had a phrase for people like her. "She'll laugh while playing you to death." Sophia paused at the cable car door and said, "You're special, kid." Then she walked out. I turned to Aurora dead serious. "Do you think she's mentally ill?" Aurora's brain short-circuited for a second, then she burst out laughing. She said Sophia wasn't wrong. I really am special. I chalked that up to Aurora's bias and moved on. We met up with Riley at a massive hotel on the Cloud Sea Peak summit. The whole place was booked for the event, packed with people. Everyone at least first-level wizard rank. Riley told me the real excitement would come at tonight's evening exchange party, where I'd likely be the star attraction. Word had spread that I was coming, and students from the other two academies would be swarming to meet the guy who buys dragon eggs by the dozen. He also mentioned that after I cleaned out the exchange, the old man pastor had called an emergency academy meeting about how to keep enough eggs in stock. They even filed a request with the Truth Tower for more dragon egg allocations. I asked if it was approved yet. Riley didn't know. I told him I wasn't in a rush about followers. I hadn't even passed my 3-year exam yet. Aurora suggested we check out the trading area while waiting for sunset, when the cloud sea would really shine. The exhibition hall was huge, filled with small stalls. Most sellers were Lord Wizards hawking array discs. Easy money when you can make them with a finger tap. Element Wizards sold alchemical products. Knights and wizards from the other academies made up most of the buyers. Aurora pulled me toward the magical plant section. I'd only seen these in books before, so seeing real specimens was genuinely exciting. Then I heard an argument. A woman was yelling at a stall owner, an androgynous-looking man, about charging one high-grade crystal for a plant with unknown effects. The seller's sign read, "Wood Element Wizard. Hybrid creations below. Effects unknown. 1 high-grade crystal each." No bargaining. The woman stormed off. I walked over and browsed his merchandise. Mostly ordinary items, but my eye caught something interesting, an ice blue rose. I asked what it was crossed with. He shrugged. Forgot. Classic. No wonder customers were arguing with him. I didn't bother pressing further. I tossed him a high-grade crystal, floated the ice blue plant into my hands, and walked away. The moment it came close, a wave of cool, refreshing energy washed over me. My mind felt sharper, more alert. Was that my imagination? I wasn't sure, but something about this plant felt different. Worth investigating later. Back at the observation deck, I examined the ice blue rose more closely. When I leaned in and sniffed, a cold energy flowed through my nose into my body. My attention went straight to my mind's sea. I felt my spiritual power stir slightly, becoming more active. I had Aurora smell it too. With her knight's body, she just found it refreshing. Then she recognized the feeling. It's like walking through the Academy's transmission corridors. Exactly, Spirit Awakening flower. This ice blue rose was apparently a hybrid containing Spirit Awakening flower properties, combined with some unknown ice element plant. If my guess was right, this single plant could be worth far more than 1 high-grade crystal. It might even replace the main ingredient in Spirit Awakening potions. But I couldn't be sure until a wood element plant expert examined it for defects. Aurora volunteered her mother for the job. She's free anyway. I warned her that her mom would smack her for saying that. Either way, the risk was just 1 high-grade crystal. If it works out, incredible. If not, no big deal. At sunset, the cloud sea turned into an endless field of burning red. Absolutely stunning, though it only lasted about 15 minutes. Then the evening party began. The banquet hall was enormous, with drinks and snacks along the walls and a stage in the center. I estimated at least 6,000 people, with more still arriving. Riley came to introduce me to the senior students. At the front of the hall, 11 people were gathered, all double top-tier talent holders, the top performers from years 2 through 6 of the Lord Wizard Academy. They welcomed me warmly, calling me the Dragon King of our class. Music started playing, and the hall went quiet. Sophia walked in wearing a stunning red gown, moving like a proud phoenix. Every eye followed her. Riley whispered, "Impressive, right?" I admitted she was stunning but added, "She's also dangerous." Riley was surprised I knew her. I told him about our one-on-one night class. He laughed. Apparently that was the only time Sophia ever taught a class. Sophia took her position at the center of another group nearby, the Knight Academy's elite. They had at least twice our numbers. Then a bridge made of green wood element energy extended across the hall. A man in an elaborate outfit walked along it, and I recognized him immediately. It was the androgynous stall owner who'd sold me the ice blue rose. "He's the Element Academy's leader?" I asked. Riley nodded. So that's why he'd been so casual at his stall. He wasn't some struggling merchant. He was playing around. The guy was one of the 3 Academy leaders organizing this entire event. The androgynous guy took his position at the center of the Element Academy group. I asked Riley who our Lord Wizard Academy's leader was. He said coolly, "We're different." Every one of us 12 standing here is a leader. Nice line. I'll admit it felt good hearing that. Riley went up to the stage as one of the three organizers, but Sophia took the center spot, not him. I noticed and laughed internally. So much for every one of us is a leader. A senior named Trava came over and filled me in on the Element Academy's leader, a guy named Trant. His story was wild. He entered with only high-tier element talent, nothing special. But then he created a hybrid plant called the Yang Revival Vine. Basically 100 times stronger version of the Yang Revival grass, which is essentially a potency herb. Nobody wants to fight him because his signature move is incredibly embarrassing for everyone involved. He even got patents from the plant and potion associations, and his vine is now the standard tool for magical beast breeding programs. After me, he's reportedly the wealthiest student in all three academies. Trava called it. Good luck. I wasn't so sure anymore. The speeches ended and the party kicked off. A girl my age walked up and introduced herself as Sass, a second-year Lord Wizard student. Then she said, "I want to become your partner." Just like that, completely matter of fact. I pointed toward the exit. The Daydream Lounge is that way. Out the door, turn left. Trant appeared behind me. Looks like we rich guys have the same problems. Little flowers buzzing around. The girl retreated, clearly intimidated by him. Then Trant revealed his hand. "You actually owe me 2 thanks, not 1. He hinted. The ice rose. Everything clicked. He'd deliberately set up that stall, hoping I'd come by. The forgotten hybrid ingredients, the casual attitude, it was all calculated. He wanted to see if I was worth befriending. I mentally threw away Trava's lucky guy label. Someone who can breed 100 times potency hybrid plant. Then within days of my dragon egg purchase whip up a custom ice rose design to catch my attention? That's not luck. That's terrifying competence in plant cultivation. His real power isn't the embarrassing vine. It's his genius-level understanding of magical plants. He told me he'd looked into my public information. I'm from Rose territory, talent just 1 step below the Emperor's. The Rose Marquis would naturally invest heavily in me, especially since my graduating class will all be assigned to the southern region where she operates. Trant explained his reasoning. The ice blue spirit awakening rose he'd crafted was specifically designed to appeal to someone connected to the Rose Marquis. He wanted to test whether I'd recognize the value and whether I was the type who repays kindness, a small trial to see if I was worth befriending. He hadn't chosen anyone to follow yet and wasn't in a rush. "We'll see," he said, raising his glass. I clinked mine against his. "Fair enough. I'm evaluating people too. Nobody picks a lord just because of some magical aura of authority. It goes both ways." After Trant left, Sophia appeared. She told me she still hadn't found anyone worth following. The Lord Wizard she admired had either already graduated or didn't exist yet. I guess she wanted to follow the Rose Marquis. She said no. The Marquis is still in her 100-year development period and could recruit anytime. The person she actually wanted was the Golden Dragon Princess, the other half of the Southern Twin Stars, Sophia explained. The Golden Dragon Princess is actually a Lord Wizard who graduated from our academy. She holds a Duke-level title. Technically, she should be called Golden Dragon Duchess, but since she's a woman and has been paired with the Rose Marquis as the 2 brightest stars of the South, the public calls her Princess instead. I asked why the Princess and not the Marquis. Sophia's answer was personal. Her grandfather was an elf from the Elf continent who met the Golden Dragon Princess during his travels. He settled in her territory, and Sophia grew up hearing stories about her. That's her reason, pure childhood admiration. I couldn't resist poking her. "So if you'd been born in Rose territory, you'd follow the Marquis instead?" "It's not really about who. It's about where you grew up." She stared at me for a long, uncomfortable moment. Then she picked up her wine glass with a smile. Quite the vengeful little boy. "Cheers," I understood. This was her way of clearing the air. Everything from the cable car teasing to my rude pushback, all wiped clean. I raised my juice and clinked it against her glass. "So are we friends now?" she asked. I thought about it. Trant's calculated friendliness, Sophia's deliberate provocations. Both were tests, just different styles. Of course, I always follow through on what I say. And friendship is just the first step. She caught my meaning. I was referencing my earlier outburst about teaching her what teaching means. She laughed beautifully. "Then I'll be waiting for you to deliver on that promise." She looked around the hall. "I've monopolized you long enough. There are plenty of people here tonight waiting to meet the star of the show. Enjoy your spotlight, kid." She walked away, and immediately a wave of people surged toward me. The rest of the night was going to be very busy. I also learned something useful from her. During the 100-year development period, lords can still recruit from the 3 central academies. Once that century ends, they can only train their own people. Good to know for planning ahead. A month after the Cloud Sea Peak party, Sophia and Tran had been dropping by my villa every few days. Today I'd had enough. "Do you two not need to train? You've been showing up constantly for a month. This isn't your house." They exchanged embarrassed looks. They'd forgotten that while their training had slowed to a grinding pace at their level, I was still a new student in a rapid growth phase. Every hour mattered. Tran left gracefully, saying he'd visit again after my 3-year exam. Sophia tried playing the friendship card. I told her straight, "You're not my anything. Until you belong to me exclusively. Training beats your company every time." She called me heartless. I told her we're just ordinary friends for now. Nothing more, nothing less. She left without arguing. After they were gone, I exhaled. Social connections have value, but I won't let them distract me. The principle is simple. If the flower blooms beautifully enough, butterflies will come on their own. Training is my flower. Aurora had good news. Her mother confirmed the ice blue spirit awakening rose was perfectly viable. It works especially well for ice element wizards. I told her to pick it up, then buy a sprite incubation disc from Linus at the library. One more sprite to add to my collection. My gold nurturing array progress hit 672 runes out of 1,300, past the halfway point. At this rate, I'd finish the 2nd stage by year's end. By the time other new students were just reaching 1st level wizard, I'd already be completing my 1st level training and possibly entering 2nd level elite wizard territory. The feeling of steady, self-earned progress was genuinely addictive. 3 months later, I needed a break from grinding. I headed to Building 888 for the Elf Information Basics class. The teacher was a pure-blooded elf. You could tell by her pointed ears and the green glow about her. She made a point of explaining that only the purest-blooded elves have such obvious physical features. She divided elves into 2 main categories. Elemental elves carry one of the 5 basic elements or their variants. Natural elves carry world-level attributes like wind, ice, or other forces of nature. The hierarchy is clear. The elf empress sits at the top, followed by natural elves, then elemental elves, then ordinary elves. Every natural elf born gets registered with the empress personally. If one dies, there's a full investigation. Her advice: if you meet a natural elf, either befriend them or stay far away. Don't make trouble, unless you're confident you can reach 8th level rule and handle the consequences. I immediately had questions buzzing in my head. Are there elves with no element at all? Could there be a time element natural elf? But the teacher moved on before I could think it through. I found it fascinating that elf social status isn't determined by bloodline, but by what element they awaken. It's basically a meritocracy. The capable rise, the weak fall. An alternative version of promote talent regardless of background. The teacher laid out the elf ranking system, 9 levels, similar to wizards. Elf, elite elf, elemental elf, star elf, full moon elf, great sun elf, legendary elf, rule elf, and all-knowing elf. She noted that natural elves are significantly stronger than elemental elves at the same level. During questions, I asked 3 things. First, do elves have a trainee stage? No. Even ordinary elves have 1st level knight strength when they reach adulthood. Elemental elves start at 1st level the moment they awaken. Humans need a trainee phase because our bodies are naturally weaker. Second, do rare elements like time exist among natural elves? Yes, across all 3 races. But time element practitioners can barely comprehend their power before 7th level, which is why none are famous today. Third, why weren't sprites mentioned in the elf hierarchy? The teacher's answer was beautiful. Sprites hold no official rank because they're above ranking. Every elf treats every sprite like their own child. After a sprite's contracted master dies, and the sprite returns to the elf continent, it continues producing resources for the elves. Even the cruelest elf becomes gentle around sprites. They're the most special beings in all of elf society. That evening, I told Mia about the class. She got excited and asked if I'd take her to the elf continent someday. Of course, having you with me will make things much smoother there. Later on the balcony, I read through my dragon encyclopedia, focusing on the upper tier and variant dragons that had all hatched by now. The swamp dragon entry caught my eye. It's a water-earth variant that can transform entire landscapes into swampland. A story described how a lord once turned his entire territory's perimeter into poisonous swamp as a defensive barrier. The evaluation said it all. It depends on how you use it. Then I read about the cursed dragon, an upper-tier assassin type. Why send an assassin in person when you can kill from 1,000 miles away? Perfect for frontier territory life, where the real danger isn't other humans but the constant warfare with other races over land. A cursed dragon could reduce bloodshed and also protect me from enemy curses. I added both the Soul Dragon and Cursed Dragon to my personal contract shortlist. I also decided to finish my last 2 mandatory courses, Rune Fundamentals and Contract Array Fundamentals, within the next few months. The first one is critical for my future training, and the second covers how to properly contract dragons and sprites. Essential knowledge for what's coming. By early September, I'd been training my composure for months. After realizing at Cloud Sea Peak that my emotional control was lacking, I came up with an unconventional method, sitting face-to-face with the Soul Dragon hatchling while it pretended to attack me. The Soul Dragon was perfect for this. True to its reputation as a master of toying with souls, it quickly learned to create genuinely terrifying pressure. It would suddenly lunge with its jaws wide open right in my face. The first few times, I panicked so badly I activated my combat arrays on reflex. Months later, I could sit still through most of its tricks, though my heart still pounded. The goal is to stay completely calm. When I can do that, the first stage of mental training will be complete. The biggest improvement? When I close my eyes now, my mind truly goes quiet. No stray thoughts. That alone was worth the months of dragon-assisted terror. Then my badge lit up. A message from the Marquis. 3 hours until I reach the capital. Get ready to welcome your big sister, I smiled. She was my first benefactor in this world, and I genuinely looked forward to seeing her. I replied immediately and headed out. Aurora was nervously adjusting her outfit the entire time we waited at the airship docking platform. She kept asking if she looked okay. I told her she looked fine, more than once. She was practically vibrating with excitement about meeting the Rose Marquis in person. She told me the Marquis was her role model, one of the most outstanding women in the past century. Someday, I want to be a role model for other women too. That actually moved me. I told her 2 things should never be mocked: where you come from and your dreams. We can't choose our birth, but we can chase our dreams. Besides, you've got me backing you up. Or do you think I can't get there? She shook her head firmly. Of course you will, young master. You're talented and hardworking. You'll definitely become someone great. The rose-decorated airship descended from the sky. From the top deck, I could sense the Marquis watching us. She deployed a sensing array. I heard her voice murmur from above. Impressive, little Wang. You're already in the 2nd stage of first-level training. By next year's exam, you'll have completed at least the 3rd stage, maybe even started on the path to 2nd-level elite wizard. That's something even I never achieved at your age. Once the crowds cleared, I activated my flight array and carried Aurora up to the top deck. Standing before the Marquis's cool, beautiful face, I smiled. Big sister, it's been a long time. The Marquis greeted me warmly. I introduced Aurora, who was so nervous she could barely speak. She told the Marquis she wanted to become someone like her. The Marquis replied gently, "Don't try to be me. Be the one and only you. You're nobody's replacement." Then she added, "Since you're Wayne's person, saying this much is only natural." I recognized what she was doing, giving Aurora guidance as a favor to me, building goodwill through my name. She told me her schedule. Tomorrow she'd recruit knights, the day after that wizards, then she'd head back to Rose territory. The 100-year development period was approaching its end, and her boarders were getting restless. I offered to help. She laughed. "Don't underestimate your big sister. Your only job right now is to grow stronger. But today, your job is to keep me company." The next morning, we went to the Knight Academy's recruitment grounds, a massive grassland with tens of thousands of knights assembled. But what caught my eye wasn't the knights. It was the horses. These weren't normal horses. They had dragon heads, exactly like the dragon imagery from Chinese mythology. 5 meters long, thick, powerful legs, cloud patterns around their hooves, dragon manes, and dragon tails. I couldn't stop staring. The Marquis explained they're called dragon horses, creatures from a dragon-type plane conquered during the Great Expansion. They come in different elemental varieties based on their skin color. The ice blue ones are ice element, capable of reaching 6th level, maybe even 7th with luck. Because they breed in large numbers, the Academy gives them to graduating knights as gifts. I was confused. I thought knights were supposed to contract dragons. She set me straight. Tens of thousands of knights graduate every year from the Central Academy alone. If every one of them contracted a dragon, the Dragon Empire would revolt. Reality is, only a tiny fraction successfully contract dragons during their 6 years on the Dragon Continent. Dragons choose their partners as much as knights choose them. You need to prove your value or offer something that interests them. Looking at the tens of thousands of knights below, each getting a dragon horse instead of a real dragon, I felt a pang of disappointment. I'd imagined 10,000 dragons filling the sky with knights riding them. The Marquis read my expression. Disappointed that the supernatural path isn't as grand as you imagined? I shook my head. Not disappointed in the path, just disappointed I won't see 10,000 dragons flying in formation, she smiled. For that, you'd need to visit the Dragon Continent. Or start another great expansion. Then she said something that stuck with me. Don't treat what you've seen and own as normal. For anyone below top-tier talent, even those with single top-tier talent, what you have is a luxury they can barely dream of. I asked about lower dragons and success rates. The Marquis said even a lower dragon can sustain a family for thousands of years. Only top-tier talents have the luxury of being picky. Most of these knights simply can't afford to attract a real dragon. As for success rates on the Dragon Continent, about 1%. But that 1% are all future 7th-level powerhouse candidates. A deafening roar shook the sky. A dragon over 1,000 meters long blocked out the sun. It belonged to the Knight Academy's Dean Memphis, a veteran 7th-level Holy Dragon Knight who'd fought in the Great Expansion. He addressed the tens of thousands of knights below. Go choose your partners. These dragon horses are the Academy's graduation gift and your final test. Show the lords here what you're capable of. Most knights easily mounted their dragon horses. The creatures barely resisted. They'd already accepted their fate as conquered beings. But the Marquis told me the real show was the Dragon Horse Kings, the leaders of each elemental herd who stood proudly in the center, radiating danger. Suddenly, a water-blue dragon horse king reared up with a thunderous cry and bolted like a sword through the crowd. Knights scattered, except one. A single figure burst from the crowd, lassoed the dragon head, grabbed on, and matched the horse's speed stride for stride before vaulting onto its back. The horse tried everything to throw its rider. Nothing worked. The knight rode with perfect composure, gradually taming the beast. They disappeared into the distance. The Marquis explained, every year, one dragon horse king tests the graduating class. If nobody tames it, all the remaining kings scatter across the grassland as free creatures, an agreement between the Academy and the horses. It's a test for hidden talent. An hour later, cheers erupted. She did it. A water-blue streak raced back toward us. The knight pulled the reins. The horse reared dramatically, and she removed her helmet. Water-blue hair, determined features, blue eyes, sweat streaming down her face. Without thinking, I said, magnificent. Who says women can't match men? Then I realized the Marquis had amplified my voice across the entire grassland. Tens of thousands of people heard me. Before I could react, she used my words as her recruitment pitch. You heard my Little Wayne's evaluation. That's my evaluation too. Will you join Rose territory? Every eye in the field locked onto the Marquis above and the knight below. The knight rode forward. Her dragon horse knelt on one leg, and she placed her fist over her chest. Londi, willing to serve you until the end of my life. That moment planted a seed in my heart. Someday, I swore, I'd have an even more glorious scene than this. The Marquis accepted her pledge. After that, the remaining dragon horse kings surrendered, and lords across the field began their own recruitment drives. Knights on horseback started flooding toward the Marquis's platform. She looked at me. How was that? I complained. You could have warned me. What if I'd said something stupid? She ruffled my hair with a proud smile. But you didn't, did you? Remember today's recruitment methods. You'll need them yourself someday. That evening on the airship, I gave the Marquis a set of custom shorts and a t-shirt. She put them on, looked down at her own legs, and glared at me. She thought I was trying to get an eyeful. I genuinely just wanted her to try the comfortable clothes. When she finally admitted they were comfortable, she muttered something about me being a little blockhead who picks up sesame seeds while dropping watermelons. I decided not to think too hard about what that meant. A knock on the door interrupted us. It was Londi, the knight who'd tamed the water dragon Horse King. She asked permission to stop by her hometown on the way back to pick up her mother. She'd grown up with just her mom, no father in the picture. Her mother was a seamstress earning 1 gold coin per month, and she'd been away at the academy for 25 years. Her mother was approaching 50 now, and Londi wanted to give her a peaceful retirement. I blurted out, "Can 1 gold coin really keep someone alive?" The Marquis sighed and gave me a reality check. I'd lived my entire life in luxury, supernatural parents, then a generous pension as a war orphan, then her investment, then the academy. I'd never experienced ordinary life. She explained that outside the capital, normal people spend about 30 silver coins monthly. A jean of wheat costs 10 copper coins. 1 silver buys 10 jean. Regular meat like chicken and fish is cheap too. So Londi's childhood on 1 gold coin per month was actually above average for commoners. I'd been comparing everything to supernatural prices, magical beast meat and enchanted produce at the academy cafeteria, which naturally costs far more. The currency system isn't broken. Ordinary goods are affordable. It's supernatural items that are expensive. And thanks to sprites boosting food production, most ordinary people live comfortably as long as they're not lazy. 3 days later, after the Marquis headed back to Rose territory, I went to my next mandatory class, Contract Array Fundamentals. The classroom was packed, naturally, since everyone needs to learn how to contract dragons and sprites. The teacher, a man in gold clothing, got straight to business. 3 hours total, 2 for lecturing, 1 for questions. He laid out the 3 categories of contract arrays. First, master-servant contracts. Second, employment contracts. Third, symbiotic contracts. That's it. Every contract in the world falls into one of these 3 types. The teacher explained each contract type in detail. Master-servant contracts give you complete control over the contracted being's life. The most dominating, but also the most commonly used because it guarantees loyalty. Employment contracts involve paying a price to summon beings from other planes to do work for you. Black wizards use these most often. Symbiotic contracts share power between both parties, mainly used by knights contracting dragons. The knight gets the dragon's bloodline. The dragon gets faster growth and future advancement opportunities. For Lord Wizards, 3 types matter most: master-servant, equal partnership, and symbiotic. All available at the library's 2nd floor. During questions, I asked 3 things. First, where do equal contracts fit? They're a subcategory of employment contracts. You pay, they work, but they're your equal in status. Wizards often use these with dragons, provide growth resources early on, receive the dragon's resource output and combat power later. Second, do servants die when their master dies? Yes, unless the contract is dissolved beforehand. But sprites are the exception. The worlds will personally dissolve their contract at the moment of their master's death and teleports them back to the elf continent. Sprites are the world's favorites. Third, are undead summons like skeleton knights also employment contracts? No, those are master-servant contracts. If they were employment contracts, the cost for summoning that many would be impossible to bear. After class, I exchanged all 3 contract arrays from the library. Each one has about 600 runes, roughly 1,900 total. That's over a year of work. Since I'm in a critical growth phase and still need to finish my gold nurturing array and teleportation array, I decided to postpone the contract arrays. I can just buy pre-made contract discs when I need them. My own advancement comes first. Nothing replaces personal power. That evening I read more of the Dragon Encyclopedia. The Frost Dragon entry caught my attention, a mid-tier variant with snow element. The assessment called it naturally weak in direct combat, but warned it's a walking natural disaster. Wherever it goes, winter follows, freezing everything, killing all vegetation. If you can't defeat it quickly, it wins through pure attrition, turning the entire landscape into a frozen wasteland. I remembered the Marquis owns a frost dragon. That's probably her ultimate deterrent. If anyone truly threatens Rose territory, She can freeze everything outside her borders into a dead ice field. I have 2 hatched frost dragons of my own. I decided to contract them personally. A weapon this devastating can't be trusted to anyone else's hands. When I have my own territory someday, I need to be the one holding the doomsday button. By the end of the second school year, I completed the gold nurturing array, all 1,300 runes assembled. The moment it formed, I could feel my mind sea expanding noticeably faster than before. Not dramatically, but constantly. Every second brought a tiny improvement instead of the long waits during the apprentice stage. Second stage of first-level wizard training, complete. Only the teleportation array remained before I'd be done with the entire first level. Aurora suggested celebrating with everyone. Good idea. I invited Sophia, Trand, and the Dairy brothers over. It was the first real gathering at my villa. Sophia was surprised to see the 3 Dairy brothers were my followers. Apparently, several princes had tried recruiting them and been turned down. Trand commented on my luck, but Andrew stood up and said firmly, "We're the lucky ones." Our father always said geniuses are everywhere, but eyes that can spot them are rare. Our young master has those eyes. That felt good. I finally understood why rich kids in my past life always kept loyal friends around. When someone hypes you up like that, you can't help but enjoy it. Sophia told me to stop holding back my happiness. Breakthrough plus loyal followers, double celebration. So I let loose and laughed from the gut. Everyone joined in. Then, during after-dinner conversation, Andrew suddenly jumped to his feet. "Young master, I'm breaking through." He vaulted over the balcony railing and dropped to the courtyard below before anyone could react. His brother Wiggins shouted after him, "You animal, you said you still needed more time." We rushed to the balcony and watched. Silver-white energy surged around Andrew as he swung his greatsword. After 15 minutes, Sophia said quietly, "He's about to break through." Andrew pulled out a fist-sized piece of fire element gold ore, glowing with red light. He melted it with fire battle energy in his hands, then inhaled the entire liquid through his nose in one massive breath, sending it surging through his whole body before directing it to the life seed in his core. Sophia looked alarmed. "Breaking through like this? Is he insane?" Wiggins calmed us down. This was their father's special technique. Normal knights absorb minerals slowly through their skin. General Dairy's method forces the energy through the respiratory system, spreading it throughout the entire body first. Agonizingly painful, but it strengthens everything inside and out before the life seed transforms. The result? The moment breakthrough completes, you're immediately as strong as a veteran of the same level, sometimes stronger. Andrew's life seed would transform into a variant, an Inferno Element Gold Seed, combining the Gold Stage's standard power with the Dairy family's signature Flame Element. Wiggins explained that life seeds come in different qualities. Ordinary knights get a basic gold seed. Talented ones get a secret gold seed. The absolute best get an elemental seed. Andrew's method would produce something even rarer, a hybrid that carries both gold stage power and fire element properties. I relaxed. He wasn't being reckless from eagerness over the dragon eggs I'd promised. This was a proven family technique. Andrew was about to become a 4th-level gold knight, and the first Dairy brother to qualify for a flame dragon egg. Wiggins explained that Andrew's breakthrough method gives him something other gold knights don't have, the ability to directly release flame element energy, similar to how wizards work. Instead of pulling elemental energy from outside, he generates it internally from his transformed life seed. That's the Dairy family's secret technique, and it's exactly why General Dairy successfully contracted his flame dragon years ago. The dragon saw the potential in this method to help it advance further. Andrew's aura exploded past the threshold. Silver-white light transformed to brilliant gold as he let out a roar. My first 4th-level gold knight follower, born right in my courtyard. He looked up at me from below with those eager puppy eyes. I couldn't help laughing. No tricks, no subtlety, just honest excitement about the dragon egg I'd promised. I preferred this over scheming any day. Congratulations on reaching 4th-level gold knight. A promise is a promise. Come up. Let's go contract your dragon right now. He practically teleported upstairs. We all entered the secret realm house and made our way to the volcanic area where the 2 flame dragon hatchlings lived. Satisfied? I asked. Andrew could barely contain himself. This is a dragon. I pulled out 3 contract array discs. Master Servant, equal partnership, and symbiotic. Before handing them over, I checked with Sophia whether a 4th-level knight could safely bond with a 1st-level hatchling. She confirmed it was fine. The usual 6th-level requirement is for adult dragons. A hatchling's power was well within Andrew's capacity. Andrew chose the symbiotic contract without hesitation. The disc activated. The array enveloped both him and the flame dragon, and minutes later a young dragon roar echoed through the space. Andrew emerged wreathed in flame element fire, radiating power. Still only 1st-level dragon power for now, but his path to 7th-level Holy Dragon Knight was now virtually guaranteed. His brothers congratulated him. Wiggins called him an animal for getting there first. During the contract, Sophia quietly asked me, "So joining you comes with a free dragon?" I told her someone with her background and strength could probably contract a dragon on her own. She admitted she had about 80% confidence with adult dragons, but the ease of contracting a hatchling here was something else entirely. She hinted at wanting to follow me. I just said, the loss wouldn't be mine. That evening at the Dairy estate, General Dairy and his wife watched Andrew riding his young dragon across the night sky. The general said, "Our decision was right. The Dairy family now has another future Holy Dragon Knight, and soon, more than one." His wife said something that surprised even the general. "When Wayne graduates, I'm thinking about following him to his territory too. We can't see the bottom of that boy's potential. Maybe one day his domain will become an empire, or something even greater." Half a month later, I attended my final mandatory course, Rune Fundamentals. This one turned out to be far more important than I expected. The teacher divided it into 3 parts: rune evolution, rune types, and rune applications. The history was fascinating. In the earliest days, wizards didn't imprint simple symbols into their mind's-eye. Instead, they drew entire natural landscapes. If you wanted the mountain rune, you'd sketch an actual mountain range inside your mind. It worked, but it was incredibly slow. So what changed? One word: civilization. When people developed written language, someone had the brilliant idea of using simplified characters to represent natural phenomena instead of drawing the whole thing. Text replaced sketches, and modern heavenly runes were born. Much faster, much more practical. There are only 2 categories of runes. The first is civilization runes, the ones we use every day, derived from written language describing nature. The second is origin runes, manifestations of the holy domain's world will itself. When the teacher mentioned origin runes, everything clicked. Those unreadable symbols in the miracle array for incubating sprites. Those were origin runes. The worlds will created them when it heard the prayers of all races after the Great Expansion. They're the only known origin runes in existence, and they've had a complete system since the world's very beginning. The entire Holy Domain world is essentially one massive set of origin runes. The gap between the 2 types is enormous. Civilization runes are effective but incomplete. Human civilization simply hasn't existed long enough to develop a fully comprehensive system. Origin runes are perfect and ancient. For the practical part, the teacher explained that runes are used in virtually everything supernatural: alchemy, weapon enchantment, wizard advancement, and even knight comprehension at 7th level and above. Every rune you imprint in your mind-see adds to your overall completeness as a wizard. It's a lifelong pursuit. There's no finish line. His closing advice stuck with me. Every drop of daily effort is stockpiling strength for future opportunities. Don't wait until the chance arrives only to realize you're not ready. A student asked whether the old method of drawing natural landscapes was stronger than modern runes. The teacher said no, modern runes won because they're efficient. The old method was abandoned for a reason. As for whether anyone still practices the ancient sketching method, he couldn't say for certain. Nobody on the Myriad Races continent does, but on the Holy Domain continent or remote islands. Maybe. I now understood the complete picture of my training path. Civilization runes for daily advancement. Origin runes as the ultimate mystery to eventually unravel. And the never-ending quest to imprint as many runes as possible, because every single one makes you more complete. The teacher turned to me for questions. I had 3. First, if origin runes are so powerful, why don't we learn them? He said the answer was obvious, and a bit stupid to ask. Origin runes are a world's deepest secret. The Holy Domain would never reveal them. The only reason the basic ones in the miracle array exist publicly is because the worlds will release them out of gratitude to the three races. It's like someone's most guarded secret. Nobody willingly lets others peek at it. Second, since civilization runes come from written language, could creating a complete new writing system produce new runes? The teacher said maybe, but a writing system alone isn't enough. It needs widespread use by large populations before it can evolve into true heavenly runes. Then he dropped a bombshell as a side note. The real reason the Holy Domain created Lord Wizards, sprites, and dragon resources wasn't just gratitude. It benefits the world itself. When Lord Wizards govern and develop territories, they create order. That invisible force of order feeds back to the world's will, helping it digest all the world essences it absorbed during the Great Expansion. That's the complete truth behind the Age of Development. My brain felt like it got struck by lightning. So we Lord Wizards aren't just beneficiaries. We're tools for the world's digestion process. Clever system. Third, did conquered worlds during the Great Expansion have similar rune systems? No. Different worlds have different supernatural foundations. And even if they did, nobody would dare imprint foreign world runes. If those runes carried hidden traps harmful to the Holy Domain, the worlds would treat you as a traitor. And an angry worlds wouldn't simply kill you. It would make you wish you could die. That afternoon, I sat thinking about something the lesson triggered. The ancient method of sketching natural landscapes in the mind's sea. It reminded me of visualization techniques from novels in my past life, and even real-world memory palace methods. Here's my idea. What if I could use that old sketching method to utilize the sky space above my mind sea? Right now, I only use the ground level. If I could visualize and construct things like stars, a moon, or a sun overhead, I'd effectively double my available mind sea area compared to anyone else at my level. I tried visualizing the moon on my way home. Total failure. You can't just know what something looks like. You need to truly understand it, inside and out. Without a proper technique, even infinite spiritual power can't bridge that gap. Tomorrow I check the library for references. If that fails, I'd ask Linus. He's greedy but knowledgeable. If even that fails, I'd use contribution points for one-on-one mentor guidance. Someone out there must know the old sketching method. That night, I sat on my balcony staring at the actual moon, trying to visualize it one more time. 10 minutes of nothing. Guess enlightenment moments are reserved for cultivation novel protagonists, I joked to myself. I picked up the Dragon Encyclopedia instead. Tonight's entry, the Devouring Dragon. Upper tier, Devouring Element. The evaluation called it, the dragon race's natural glutton and tank. Unlike the Darkness Dragon's energy annihilation style of devouring, this one literally eats everything and converts it into power. Don't underestimate it. Give it enough time, and it'll return your landscape as rubble. Another powerful tool for my future collection. The third school year ended with me completing the teleportation array, my final first-level array. The moment the last rune clicked into place, a feeling of wholeness washed over me. First-level wizard training, complete. 3 arrays, 3 stages, all done. Next stop, second-level elite wizard. My badge buzzed with the exam notification. 3 days until the newcomer test. Aurora asked if I was worried. I laughed. If I can't pass, then nobody can. After a year of nothing but training and library visits, this exam was a formality. I passed with full marks. 10 days later came the moment I'd been waiting 3 years for. Inside the Secret Realm house, I stood on a rock in the middle of a lake island, watching 100 magical plants glow with brilliant light. All of them were ready. Over the next 30 minutes, one by one, 100 tiny sprites emerged from their plants and flew toward me, calling out, "Master," in chorus. They all knew who I was. The Holy Domains had told them during birth that I was the one who planted and nurtured them. I asked if they had memories from being plants. They said no. The world's mother simply informed them about me. They knew I'd planted them in a courtyard and helped them grow. I pulled out the master-servant contract discs I'd prepared in advance. Line up and we'll contract one by one. Tell me your names as we go. The first was a little sprite in a purple dress decorated with purple tulips. "I'm Diana," she announced proudly. It took a full hour to contract all 100. I'd drawn a vial of blood beforehand. Otherwise, it would have taken even longer. Total sprite count, 101. Between these and my dragons, The Dragon Continent trip in 9 years would be a breeze. And when I eventually build my territory, the foundation will be rock solid. 3 days later, the Academy held a ceremony in the Grand Hall for everyone who passed the exam. Over 2,000 people attended, 800 new official members plus their families and friends. The Derry family showed up in full force. General Derry and his wife were actually arguing over who got to put my first-level wizard robe on me. The three brothers stood silently like quails. Ever since their mother discovered that smacking heads felt nice, the daily mixed doubles beatings had become routine. Aurora quietly told me, "They're not fighting in a bad way. They really like you. That's why they're arguing." I smiled at her. "I know. And I'm grateful for everything you've done." She'd heard other students talking about the ceremony tradition and arranged for the Derry family to come as my honorary family. She'd been worried I'd feel awkward about it. The opposite, I was genuinely touched. Dean Leon appeared on stage and congratulated everyone. Then he announced something unexpected. 2 distinguished graduates had been invited to speak about the future ahead. Andrew whispered loudly while clapping his massive hands. "Father, didn't you say there was only one guest speaker? Why 2? General Derry had told me the ceremony's guest speakers weren't really there to paint a rosy picture. They were there to deliver a reality check. The Academy is too comfortable, so students need someone from the real world to shake them awake." 2 figures walked onto the stage, and my eyes went wide. One of them was the Rose Marquis. She wasn't supposed to be here. This wasn't recruitment season. She'd traveled thousands of miles just for this ceremony. And based on Andrew's slip that only one speaker had been planned, I knew the truth. She'd come specifically for me. The Marquis spoke first, painting the beautiful side. Dragons soaring through skies, elves displaying their grace, knights wielding great swords against rival races, and Lord Wizards commanding everything from the center. Every student's face lit up with dreams of glory. Then she stepped aside for a woman with golden hair and dragon-slit pupils. "I'm Elizabeth. You know me as the Golden Dragon Princess." The princess delivered the cold truth. Lord Wizards are protagonists for the 3 great races, but for the thousands of other races, we're invaders stealing their land. Blood and fire are constant companions. 3 days ago, you might be celebrating with someone. 3 days later, they might die in front of you. She shared her own numbers. Of 1,023 Lord Wizards who graduated with her, only 608 survived to establish territories. That means roughly half of us in this hall would die during the frontier expansion. Dean Leon followed up, his voice tinged with genuine sorrow. "You are all the Academy's children. Don't let us receive news of your death." Every student around me looked shaken and newly determined. But I watched it all with my Chinese soul's analytical eye. I'd already figured out the playbook. Lure birds with beauty, show them the sky, hit them with harsh reality, then play the emotional card. Classic motivation structure. No teenager could resist that sequence. Of course, I wasn't going to expose the technique. And truthfully, I didn't need the warning. A person from a world without magic, reborn into a world overflowing with it, given top-tier talent and a cheat ability? Only a fool wouldn't train with everything they had. Then Dean Leon told everyone to collect their wizard robes. But I didn't move, because I saw the Marquis grab a robe and walk straight toward me. Behind me, General Derry and his wife had been arguing about who'd put my robe on me. When they saw the Marquis approaching, the general buried his face in his wife's shoulder in defeat. "Looks like neither of us wins." The Marquis stood before me with a warm smile. "Come here, little Wayne. Big sister, why did you come?" "For you, of course." She draped the wizard robe over my shoulders and carefully fastened each button at the waist. Those 3 words, "for you," hit me like sunlight breaking through clouds. In that moment, her place in my heart rose to heights I couldn't measure. She looked at me. I was nearly as tall as her now, and her voice carried a touch of wistfulness. "When I first met you, you were so tiny. 3 years, and you've almost caught up to me. Congratulations, little Wayne. You're now an officially registered wizard of the Truth Tower, just like me. Thank you, big sister, for coming all this way for me. Just call me sister from now on. And I came because your parents died serving Rose territory. If not me, then who?" I noticed something then. The Marquis has a touch of tsundere in her personality. Rose territory has countless people. She didn't attend anyone else's ceremony. She came for me alone, then made up a formal excuse about my parents. I wasn't about to point that out, though. I'm not stupid enough to ruin the happiest moment of my academy life. I went to apologize to General Derry and his wife for the robe situation. They'd come all this way expecting to do the honors, and the Marquis had swooped in unexpectedly. I bowed deeply and explained honestly. She's the first person who ever believed in me. She's special to me. That's why I chose her. The general smiled warmly and said he understood completely. No hard feelings. The Marquis asked if I liked that she'd come. Yes, I said simply. The next day, the Marquis hosted her triennial gathering for Rose Territory graduates at a luxury hotel. I invited the Derry family as my guests, partly as an apology for yesterday. General Derry asked me about my plans for my future territory. I had him set up a sound barrier first, then laid everything out. My foundation is already solid, 100+ sprites and 36 dragons for resources. Next phase is recruiting followers. I want to build an entire knight order where every member rides a dragon. That's my core military force. The final phase is logistics, basic supplies like food and materials, plus purchasing slaves to expand the population base. I'm saving this for last because I don't want to distract my followers from training during their golden years of growth. Andrew and Wiggins will handle this after graduation. For a temporary population settlement, I'll ask the Marquis for land in Rose Territory. It's spacious, sparsely populated, and in the same southern direction I'll be assigned to. After I finished, Derry and his wife exchanged a look. Then Murola made an offer. She'd handle all the logistics work for me. She's a 6th-level wood wizard with practical skills. She added that she and the general both believe my future could surpass the empire itself. I was surprised. An investment, half family, she said. All my children are following you. Am I supposed to stay home alone as an empty nester? The general jumped in. Same goes for me. Once I can leave my post, I'm coming too. You think I want to be the only one left behind? I was momentarily stunned. Without realizing it, I'd accumulated an entire family of powerful allies, a 7th-level Holy Dragon Knight, a 6th-level wizard, 3 top-tier knight sons, and Aurora. I accepted gratefully. We'd sign the Holy Domain contract after the banquet and work out details later. Murola gave me one crucial piece of advice. Don't let your current weakness make you think you don't deserve authority. Your floor is 7th-level True Spirit Wizard. Start acting like it. And remember, rules exist because their other name is order. In a force, only one person can be in charge. Tolerance in peacetime becomes fatal in wartime. A Chinese saying echoed in my mind. In the army, there are no fathers and sons. She told me to learn from General Derry about leadership. He'd commanded the Imperial Knight Order for decades and had invaluable experience to share. At the banquet, the Marquis introduced me to everyone as Rose Territory's leader among current students, practically calling me her little brother in front of the whole room. She didn't force anyone to follow me, but her endorsement carried enormous weight. Most people there were already leaning my way because of my talent. Her words just tipped the scales completely. Up on stage, the Golden Dragon Princess teased the Marquis about going so far for a kid like me. The Marquis described me as special, possessing some quality she couldn't even put into words. The princess rolled her dragon pupil eyes and said she'd judge for herself. Then trouble found me. That girl from Cloud Sea Peak, Sass, showed up again, demanding I accept her feelings. She announced her father was the Black Mountain Count, a 3rd-level Lord Wizard in the Western Territories, as if that should impress me. I'd had enough. I rejected you before, and my impression of you is terrible. Confessing feelings should be something beautiful, but yours is just disgusting. She asked what gave me the right to refuse her. I pointed at General Derry. That's the commander of the Imperial Knight Order, a 7th-level Holy Dragon Knight. Those 3 are his sons, my followers, all with top-tier talent. Her face went white. I told her what I really thought. A true noble family takes 3 generations to cultivate proper character and grace. Your attitude screams new money, no manners, no class, no sense of respect. Real nobles don't humiliate themselves with public spectacles like this. I added that my rejection wasn't only about her attitude. I simply wasn't interested in romance right now. Training comes first. She left red-faced as the crowd cheered. On the stage, the Golden Dragon Princess whispered to the Marquis. Clear logic, no emotional impulse. Your kid's got something. Then Aurora asked me quietly. So you really have no plans for romance? I shrugged. Who can say for sure? Supernatural power is fascinating, but if someone more fascinating comes along, I wouldn't have a reason to refuse. Like who? I hesitated. I almost pointed at the Marquis, but got scared she'd smack me. So I pointed at the Golden Dragon Princess instead. Like her. Everyone looked where I was pointing. The Dairy brothers stared at me in awe. Andrew gave me a thumbs up. Young master, you're absolutely fearless. I explained my Golden Dragon Princess comment. It was just a hypothetical. The point was that something so impossibly romantic would be the only thing that could distract me from training. A fairy tale coming true. Naruto immediately chimed in about his own first experience with beauty, and Aurora shut him down. You're just being perverted. That's not what young master was talking about. Aurora asked if I had any realistic preferences. I answered with a question. How do you become a general's wife? Everyone instinctively looked at Mirola. She smiled at General Dairy and answered with a warmth that made her seem to glow. You marry him when he's still a nobody soldier. Then a scarred man with mechanical limbs showed up, dragging Sass behind him. He challenged the answer. What if he stays a nobody forever? Mirola didn't flinch. She hugged her husband's arm and said, Then I'll always be a soldier's wife. Nobody knows if he'll become a general. The general title is just an accessory. He's the husband I chose. The scarred man turned his attention to me. Before he could speak, the Marquis appeared behind us. You're still the same. Always blaming others for your problems. I pieced it together. This was the other double top-tier talent holder from Rose territory that the Marquis had refused to invest in. He was bitter, covered in mechanical replacement limbs, clearly having suffered greatly. He erupted. Why shouldn't I be jealous? Same talent, but you invested in him and not me. If you'd helped me, I wouldn't be crippled like this. The Marquis stayed ice cold. I didn't invest in you because of your character. The moment you awakened your talent, you abandoned your family. You looked down on your peers. You mocked your childhood friends. And whenever trouble came, you pushed blame onto others. Would you invest in someone like that? He sneered and listed his justifications. His family couldn't help him. His peers were beneath him. His friends couldn't keep up. The Marquis cut him off with a devastating challenge. Would you sign a holy domain contract swearing you'd genuinely invest in someone exactly like yourself? He couldn't answer. He turned to leave, but General Dairy's voice stopped him cold. Think you can just walk away? You insulted my wife. The general released his 7th level aura. The man collapsed to his knees instantly. Dairy grinned. I'm not stupid enough to kill a registered lord and wizard. But beating you and humiliating you? That's perfectly legal. He looked at Mirola. Dear, I'm going to hang him from the east gate. Back in a moment. He vanished. Mirola shouted after him. Remember to strip his wizard robes first. Got it, came the distant reply. The Marquis moved us to the hotel rooftop to get away from the crowd. She confirmed the scarred man was the other double top-tier talent from Rose territory, the one she'd refused to invest in. His daughter Sass had been acting on his orders, hoping I'd accept a noble family's backing like he did. He didn't expect my standards to be different. The Marquis explained her reasoning clearly. She didn't invest in him because of his character. He abandoned his birth family the moment he got talent, looked down on everyone, and blamed others whenever things went wrong. Investing in someone like that is asking for trouble. Gratitude would turn to resentment. His mechanical limbs? Self-inflicted consequences. He coasted through the academy relying on noble connections instead of training, got badly injured during frontier expansion, and only survived because his investor didn't want to lose the investment entirely. She was using his story as another reminder for me. I told her I'd been grinding nonstop for 3 years. She didn't need to keep warning me. She smiled and said she was glad I understood the deeper message rather than treating it as entertainment. Then she formally introduced the Golden Dragon Princess, Christine Stewart, founder of the Golden Dragon Duchy. Christine immediately claimed me as a little brother too. The Marquis protested, "Are you robbing me?" But Christine just laughed. "What's yours is mine." Christine leaned forward with her dragon pupil eyes locked onto mine. "You want to marry me?" A year ago that pressure might have broken me. But after months of staring down a soul dragon, I just answered calmly, "Would you say yes?" "Good courage," she said. Then she asked something strange. "Would you love a stupid child?" Before I could process it, the Marquis cut her off. Christine pouted and dropped it. The question kept nagging at me for days afterward. She'd message me every day asking the same thing. I had no idea what it meant. and the Marquis wouldn't explain. I asked the Marquis for land in Rose territory to house future followers and purchase populations. She refused to let me call it renting. I'm your sister. Don't be so formal. Just tell me when you're ready, and I'll pick out some options for you. 3 days later, Murola arrived to start working for me. I went out personally to greet her at the entrance. She was surprised, a future lord meeting his subordinate at the door. I told her simply that she and the general had made a strong impression on me. Small courtesies matter. When I saw Aurora's footsteps bounce with happiness behind me, I smiled to myself. Basic social grace works in every world. We signed the Holy Domain contract upstairs. Murola read the terms and shook her head, not because they were harsh, but because they were so generous. I explained my philosophy. The only restriction that matters is preventing followers from harming my people. Beyond that, I'm confident I'll always be the strongest person in the room. And since my goal is immortality at 7th level, petty contractual restrictions become meaningless on that timescale. She studied me for a long moment, then nodded slowly. Now I understand why your contracts attract so many followers. This kind of trust is rare and magnetic. I nodded and explained my thinking on the contract to Murola. Sure, there are better types of contracts out there, but this one serves a purpose. When my followers see how fair it is compared to others, they'll be willing to die for me. Aurora raised a concern. What if I go into seclusion for too long and my children can't command my people? I scoffed at that. As long as I'm alive, nobody would dare disobey. And if I actually die? Well, then it's actually a good thing for my descendants. The strong don't take orders from the weak. Besides, eternal life is just a matter of time for me. If fate says otherwise, then so be it. After I'm dead, why would I care what happens? I told Aurora straight. Why can't she wish me well instead of assuming I'll die? And honestly, even if my descendants suffer after enjoying a life of luxury, so what? Ask any common person if they'd trade 3 years as nobility knowing they'd die after. They'd say yes in a heartbeat. Everyone wants to stand at the peak of their life, even if just once. Both Murola and Aurora went quiet after that. I could tell they'd asked themselves the same question and gotten the same answer. We signed the contract. Murola flicked out a drop of blood. I did the same, and the Holy Domain contract burned into existence. She stood and bowed to me, saying she'd be in my care from now on. I accepted it calmly and told her to sit. We had things to discuss. I waved my hand and placed 300 top-grade unattributed magic crystals on the table. Murola was surprised but kept her composure. After the dragon egg incident, she'd already guessed I had serious wealth. I told her all these crystals were operational funds. The mission: buy up salt, wheat, flour, meat, clothing, basic survival goods for ordinary people. This is a long-term task, at least until after I graduate. She asked about settling common people. I shook my head. Not enough manpower yet, so that has to wait. Murola then suggested recruiting low and mid-tier talent graduates. Not the elite students from the academy. That would be overkill. She meant the bulk of the supernatural world. People with limited options who'd jump at the chance to work for someone with my potential. They already have combat ability and don't need training from scratch. I thought it over. High-tier talents in the academy outnumber top-tier ones by 6 to 10 times, and that's just what I've personally seen. Since the 3 academies gather the Empire's best, that means low and mid-tier talent holders are far more numerous out in the world. Murola laid out her plan. Mass recruit them, bind them with contract arrays, then send them across the land to buy resources and slaves. Since what we're purchasing is worthless in the eyes of powerful practitioners, there's no risk of drawing attention. Over time, we filter the best performers and promote them into my inner circle. I was satisfied. No corrections needed. I told her I'd provide the funds. She handles execution, and she reports progress monthly. I just want results. She nodded, and I could sense she appreciated the trust. But really, in a world where strength is authority, I know exactly what matters and what doesn't. That evening, I sat on my balcony in the rocking chair and opened the Dragon Encyclopedia again. Race: Dragon, Upper Dragon, Undead Dragon Element. Undead, the description called it a blessed child of the undead plane. Dragons are walking magical energy bodies, and the undead dragon's vast mana makes it a natural master of swarm tactics. Death is not the end. The next morning, after breakfast, I left the villa and headed to the library to pick up my second-tier array diagram. All the celebrating was done. All my plans were set in motion. Now it was time to focus on my own growth. While flying there, I ran the numbers in my head. I've got a lot on my plate. The miracle array, 3 contract arrays, and now this new second-tier diagram. All of them need rune imprinting. Time is really not on my side. I picked up the Academy's gift, the second-tier 1000-blade array diagram, and walked out feeling a bit bitter. First-tier diagrams had rune counts in the 4 digits, but this second-tier one jumped to 5 digits. 11,111 runes exactly. At my current pace of about 150 runes per month, that's over 6 years just to break through to second tier. Sure, the speed picks up once you actually reach second tier, but that doesn't help me right now. I pushed those thoughts aside and flew toward the teleportation channel for my next stop. Half an hour later, I was sitting in the contribution points exchange hall, face to face with old man Pastor. He was giving me that look, half annoyed, half fond. "What are you staring at me like that for?" I asked. "Did that loose-lipped guy tip you off?" I played dumb and flipped it on him. "You're the one hoarding good stuff without telling anyone. What's the point of keeping treasures if they just sit there collecting dust? They're not going to breed on their own." He went silent with a dark expression. I added for good measure. "Senior Riley already told me everything. Besides, I'm the only one who can actually redeem these anyway." Pastor rolled his eyes. "You got that right." Then he started grumbling about Dean Leon having a mouth as loose as his belt. I couldn't help but ask how he knew about the Dean's belt situation. His answer: if his belt weren't loose, would he have that many descendants? I wanted to laugh, but didn't dare. I asked him to take me to make the exchange. He gave me that annoyed fond look again and asked if I had enough top-grade magic crystals. I told him to drop the "if, of course I do." He led me inside, muttering that anyone else would have been kicked out by now. When we reached the dragon egg storage, I noticed way more eggs than last time. Pastor explained that after the Academy reported to the Tower of Truth last time, they allocated 1,000 dragon eggs, surplus stock from various locations that rarely got redeemed. But he stressed this was everything the tower could spare without disrupting operations. I pressed him on that, and he got a little flustered. I teased him about not being entirely honest. "You're not an honest old man. You're just old and short on honest words." His face went red, and he asked if Riley told me that too. "Sorry, Senior Riley. Last time, I promise." I steered us back to business. Of the 1,000 eggs, 700 were lower-tier or lower-tier variant dragon eggs. The remaining 300 were mid-tier variant, and upper-tier. "I'll take all 300, I said. Knew I couldn't keep them. "You just grab everything good for yourself. Total price, 30,000 top-grade magic crystals." I started quietly transferring crystals from my infinite column into my spatial ring while stalling with small talk. I never keep too many crystals in the ring. The infinite column is invisible and always on me, so there's no rush. But the ring is different. Even though it's blood-bound and only I can open it, I'd rather not risk someone detecting a fortune inside it with some alchemical device. I dropped the 30,000 crystals in front of him. He pulled out a crystal orb, tapped it once, and all the crystals streamed inside. Then he tapped the air, a massive array unfolded, and 300 dragon eggs of various colors floated up toward the platform. I took one look and frowned. "Are you scamming me? These all look like dark alignment dragon eggs." Pastor shot me a look. "Watch your mouth. Dragons are humanity's allies. They just happen to look dark. Their hearts aren't dark. And we don't call it dark alignment anymore. Nowadays it's called dark in a righteous way. Don't go around saying the wrong thing." I rubbed my forehead at Pastor's nonsense. After a moment I managed. "You really are just old with not much honesty to spare." He laughed proudly. "Kid, you're 100 years too early to out-trick me. I was running scams before you were born. Honestly, I didn't feel that cheated. Dark alignment dragon eggs aren't weaker. People just prefer the light alignment ones. And magic crystals mean nothing to me compared to things I can actually use." As the eggs floated closer, I asked why the Academy preferred sprites over dragons. After all, 30,000 top-grade crystals only buys about 30 sprites. That's a 10-to-1 difference in quantity. Pastor shook his head and first commented on how rich I am, then explained. "For anyone who's not a knight, a sprite is the better deal every time. Both dragons and sprites produce resources, but dragons eat up far more resources during their growth phase. Sprites start generating returns from birth, while dragons don't until adulthood. Plus, the Academy is a public institution. Unhatched dragon eggs just sit there doing nothing, but sprites produce resources immediately with zero effort. That's why the Academy trades for sprites instead of keeping dragons. That made sense. Not everyone has unlimited crystals like me. As for the breakdown of the 300 eggs, 250 were basic elemental types, 50 each of metal, wood, water, fire, and earth. The remaining 50 included 36 variant types and 14 upper-tier dragon eggs. He told me to check my dragon encyclopedia for the details. I nodded, satisfied. Not bad. With these I can build a whole Dragon Knight order. Ambitious, Pastor said, then added, I'm getting more and more curious what kind of legend you'll create after graduation. He deducted the contribution points from my badge and handed over all 300 eggs. Then he started walking me out, but I didn't leave. You're still here? He asked, annoyed. I grinned. I've got one more thing. I want to redeem a one-on-one instructor session. His face instantly changed to a warm smile. Little Wayne, how about me? I laughed and shook my head. Maybe, but here are my requirements first. 1. The instructor must know the natural imprint method. 2. They need to help me figure out how to speed up rune imprinting. Pastor's expression turned serious. He warned me not to do anything rash. Sure, rune imprinting is slow, but that's because the Lord Wizard path is powerful. The standard heaven and earth rune method became mainstream because it's efficient, where the natural method requires you to replicate an entire mountain. A single rune does the same job. No shortcuts on the path to truth. I quickly waved him off. You've got it wrong. I want to learn the natural imprint method to verify a theory, not to switch my cultivation. And the speed question is just because I saw my second-tier diagram today and the timeline feels brutal. He relaxed. That's normal. Everyone feels overwhelmed the first time they see a second-tier diagram. Going from thousands to tens of thousands of runes is a big jump. He thought for about 10 minutes, then snapped his fingers. Got it. There's an instructor at the Elemental Wizard Academy on the Holy Domain continent. She's a 7th-tier true spirit wizard and a special nature wizard who practices the natural imprint meditation method. Perfect fit for you. I was surprised our academy had that kind of reach. Pastor got smug about it. All academies under the Tower of Truth are equals, and as long as you can pay, anyone will come teach. I told him to set it up, and that crystals wouldn't be a problem. Then my curiosity kicked in again. My Rune Fundamentals teacher said this method only exists on remote islands. How is there a 7th-tier practitioner? Pastor shot me a look. Remote islands still have people. You're saying they can't produce a genius? I backpedaled fast. I didn't say that. Please don't put words in my mouth. He chuckled. Relax, kid. Easy for him to say. He's untouchable. I'm just a small fry who can't afford to offend anyone. I quickly changed the subject. Oh right. Why are all the upper-tier eggs dark alignment? His answer shut me up instantly. Who doesn't love shiny light alignment dragon eggs? If you had them, would you give them away? I opened my mouth, then closed it. Fair point. I definitely wouldn't either.